Morning and welcome to a very snowy Meiringen. It's felt like a long wait for this 2019 IFSC season, but the wait is over. We are underway, and in about 10 minutes time, 40 of the best competition climbers will take to the stage here in Meiringen for our first semi-final of the season. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here to talk you through the action today, as we will be for the final. And Mike, in so many ways, this is a career-defining season for virtually every athlete out there.
Well, I mean, not to overstate it, but this is probably the biggest, baddest, most important season of all time in competition climbing history. They get one good go at this season, I think, and that is going to be key for a lot of these athletes. Some of the athletes in their mid-20s. The Olympic comes around every 4 years. So for a lot of the athletes on this start list in this semi-final round, this season is huge.
And also, as well as the athletes, it's huge for the teams. We've seen a real shift in how the teams manage things. Teams like the Italian guys haven't brought specialists like Gabriele Moroni, who won last year in Tokyo. It's shifted the whole landscape.
It completely has, and it's not changed many athletes on the start list, but has changed a few. But importantly, how the athletes approach the season is different, I think. And we're going to see, the season goes from here in April all the way through to Toulouse, the Olympic selection event in November. How the hell the athletes and the coaches, the teams, how they approach that is so hard to know. And I think we're going to see some athletes just trying to get through this weekend in one piece, to be honest.
The other people who've got a big challenge presented by this 2019 season, where we've got more athletes going for the combined than we would normally see, is the route setters. So let's have a look at how they got on yesterday, their first attempt at setting for this 2019 season. Here's the highlights of yesterday's qualifiers. The long wait for the 2019 IFSC season came to an end in the Swiss village of Meiringen, which looked spectacular under a coating of April snow. The men climbed first and tops came thick and fast. Finalist from Meiringen last year, Jakob Schubert, managed 3 tops, but was still well short of making the top 20, who proceed to the semi-finals. Alexei Rubtsov topped 5 boulders to proceed to semis, as did last year's winner in Munich, Gregor Vazonik. The French team had a frankly terrible day, with none of their men making the top 20. There were no such worries for Team Japan, who got 7 men through. However, world champion from last year, Kai Harada, was not one of them. He qualified 21st. Sean McCall missed semis, as did Jan Hoyer, which gives some indication of how strong the field was. Jongwon Chon went through, as did Alex Megos, who squeaked through in joint 19th with Stefano Gasolfi. Safely into semis in 3rd place with Adam Ondra.
Last time I did a bouldering World Cup, if I don't count World Championships last year in Innsbruck, it was 2015. The boulder problems in the qualification were much more old school than I expected. That was how the boulders used to be 10 years ago. So that was pretty nice to me. I'm pretty sure that we will be facing some more dynamic and new school boulder problems in the semifinals. But I'm actually looking forward to that, because I've been training quite hard for this new style, and I'm quite curious about how it's going to go.
Women climbed in the afternoon, and Janja Garmbret looked as strong as ever. She was the only climber to top 5 boulders and eased into semis with minimal fuss. She has never won in Meiringen, but is most people's favourite for gold in 2019. She'll have some stiff competition, though, not least from 4-time overall champion Akio Noguchi, who qualified with 3 tops on a tough set of boulders in qualification Group A. Only Kyra Condi with 4 tops out-qualified Akio in Group A. Fanny Gibert in Group B with Janja landed 4 tops and looked in the sort of form that earned her 3rd overall last season. 2018 lead world champion Jesse Piltz narrowly missed out on semis, but there were no such worries for Solsa or Kaczykadic. Two-time Meiringen winner Shauna Coxey also went through in the midfield as her comeback from a series of injuries continues. Petra Klingler, climbing in front of a home crowd, also had a decent day, and in the semis will have a shot at claiming one of the 6 spots in the final.
It's pretty interesting to be back in bouldering, especially because it's snowing or was snowing yesterday and everything is white outside. But it's good that it started. The comp season has started. It's a first benchmark for the season, and it was super excited.
Full results can be found at www.ifsc-climbing.org. Yes, a lot of pressure on that lady there, Petra Klingler, competing in her home World Cup. But overall, Mike, interesting day for the setters. We should give a special shout out, by the way, to Nathan Phillips, the only person with 5 flashes on the men's side. But on the whole, a lot of tops on the men's side. The route setters maybe turn the volume up a little bit for this semi-final.
Well, I think Meiringen, this first event of the season, is always super interesting because I was trying to think of a comparison last night in another sport. What sport can you, where you go to an event, the route setters create the challenge, but they don't really know quite where the athletes are at the start of the season. It's so difficult. We saw 5 tops in the men's competition to get through. I think it was 4 tops quite quickly in the second group. In the women's, just 2 tops to get through. So the men's was a bit easy, the women's was really hard, and this is the game though for the route setters. It's so difficult, but like you said, Charlie, they've had the opportunity to review yesterday, they've been back this morning, they've tweaked their semi-finals boulders, hopefully to set us up for a really good round here this morning.
Yeah, it looks a very physical round. It's a surprisingly steep wall here in Meiringen. None of it is incredibly steep, none of it's horizontal, none of it's a real roof, but quite a lot of 40 degrees and only 2 slabs, one at each end of the wall. Let's have a look at the starting list. 20 men and 20 women through. How's that for a first 2 out? Stefano Gasolfi and Alex Megos, both World Cup winners in the lead competitions last year. Yufei Pan will be 3rd out. Another climber to keep a close eye on. And after that, it's just World Cup winner after World Cup winner. Jongwon Chon, Alexei Rubsov, Gregor Vazonik, Rei Sugimoto. Extremely strong semi-final in the men's competition. Remember, there are 6 spots for the men in the final and 6 spots for the women. And lower down the order, 5 Japanese in the top half of the semi-final, 7 in total over on the men's side. Yoshiyuki Ogata, a lot of people got high hopes for him this season. He's been training for combined for several years now. Alex Cazenove, World Cup winner in Taiwan in 2018. Keep an eye on him. Our overall champion from 2018, Jerne Kruder, as well, healthily into the top half of the semi-final. And I mentioned him earlier, Nathan Phillips will be the last climber out after 5 flashes yesterday. Really struggling with flashes today.
You'll get that one.
And Nathaniel Coleman, interesting to see how he goes. He'll be climbing second to last. Over on the women's side, again, the order reversed in the qualifiers, so those who qualify as highest climb last in the semi-final. Luchka Rakovic will be first out. A lot of excitement around Oceana McKenzie, exciting Australian climber. Alex Johnson, good to see her back, her first international competition since 2015, and we mentioned her a second ago. Petra Klingler, a lot of pressure on her, slightly less on Shauna Coxey, but still a lot of attention being paid to her. She continues her comeback from a pretty tough set of injuries, tough run of injuries. Solsa and Kaczykadic rounding out the top half of the semi-final. Again, strong top half. Only 2 Japanese women into the semi-final. They both appear quite late on in it. Futaba Ito and Akio Noguchi. Nomi Naka, she's still struggling with the shoulder injury. That's a different shoulder injury on the opposite shoulder to the one she was struggling with last year, but sadly we're missing her. But Futaba Ito looked incredibly strong yesterday. Julia Shanodi, whose name you might just have caught there, who we generally see more in the lead World Cups, had a really strong day yesterday. Looked to the manner born on a bouldering wall. And we're underway. 5 minutes begins for Stefano Gasolfi and Luchka Rakovic over on the right-hand side of the stage. And both men and women starting on slab. Women over on the right, men over on the left, and there is Luchka underway.
First opportunity then to have a look at these boulders. Women on the far right-hand side. Luchka Rakovic, we saw her at the Studio Block Masters just a few weeks ago, made finals there. Women on the right-hand side then, and Stefano Gasolfi in the men's competition on the left. And both, has to be said, on a very hard start to the competition here. Luchka's got this super slabby, kind of conventional slab climbing, a bit of a dynamic push out to that cheetah zone hold, the big white volume on the left-hand side. White volumes and red holes for Luchka. And Stefano on the left is into the horror show undercuts. We get to see plenty of these boulders as we go through the competition. 20 men, 20 women. First real opportunity. Luchka's opting to stand on the top of that big bowl hold. That's completely smooth on top there, but obviously reasonably comfortable. But that's the move that we're looking for. A big push out to the left and a little undercut thumb on the right. And interestingly, the style this weekend in Meiringen, I think we're going to see a very, very different style to what we saw in last year's competition. Adam Ondra was talking about it a little bit there in the highlights program from the qualification round, saying this felt like qualifiers from 10 years ago. And he kind of jokes, but we're going to see this again in the semi-final round. Head route setter Jamie Cassidy suggesting that it's about time we pulled on some hard moves and dropped the circus. Internet's going to have a good chat about that, no doubt. Personally, we like it. There was some big explosions last year, some big dynos, but maybe we'll just see some hard cranking here this weekend.
We shall see, yeah. Never a shortage of opinions on the internet, but it was a very entertaining final last year, but a lot of the kind of modern style jumping parkour-esque boulders, and as you say, Mike, pretty straight up boulders this time around from what we saw from the qualifiers and also from looking at the boulders for this semi-final.
That was interesting from Luchka there to try to slowly push it out with the one leg press off the left side instead of dynamically pushing towards the zone hold. It's the first real good look at what Stefano's got in front of him. Two big undercut holds, really, really bad, actually quite hard to pull on. You can see the far right hand red hold there as a start hold, quite an off-balance start. Stefano's first couple of attempts, he's actually opting to try and do it in a more dynamic fashion, pushing towards the left hand towards that white volume, as you can see there, really hard just to pull off the ground.
Yeah, it's a particularly desperate start for the men. The first move, literally leaving the ground, is one of the cruxes for sure. And just as you step out left, there's nothing where you want it. This is Luchka on the women's. There is the option, we're told, of a kind of jump onto that first hold.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on a little bit of how tall you are. You can jump into the starting position, that's in the rules if you cannot technically reach it. Luchka's medium height, I would say, medium to tall in the women's field.
Yeah, levering onto it hasn't looked too difficult for her, but it's not the only method, and some of the shorter climbers may choose to hop onto it a bit more dynamically.
There's actually a few things to watch out for on these slabs. Where the wall is quite dark, you can see big patches of chalk and sort of shadows where previous holds have been. So there are no additional holds to the bigger white and red ones you can see on there, even though it may appear to be some sort of darker grey or black holds on there. That's just from the previous round, the chalk build up around the hold. See Stephanie Sophie having a bit of a smearing nightmare out there. I always say coming out to a slab is kind of your worst nightmare sometimes. You've been backstage in the isolation zone for a couple of hours getting pumped, and then you've got to come out and just take away all of that adrenaline and just try and stand up, keep breathing and maintain contact with the wall where possible.
So you can see there, Luchka's over on the right hand side of the wall. One thing the route setters have had to contend with is that the mats only just extend past the end of the wall, so they can't have the slabs going out to the right for fear of the climbers not landing on the mat. So although they do have a slab for the men and a slab for the women, they're really forced to send the climbers inwards towards the middle of the wall. Now she's got the zone.
Better that time from Luchka. She tried that the last attempt and got close, learned from the previous go. Standing up now off a pretty high bad foothold, and then a pocket to finish.
So we're told that the last move to the top, not one of the harder ones on the boulder, so if she can get herself established, it's a reasonably good, somewhat shallow pocket she's going for. And there it is, first top of the semi-final.
That was really nice, such control on that top section. You can see she really wasn't phased by the occasion. She was really close to running out of time.
We'll try and get a clock on screen for you in just a second, but that was pretty close from Luchka. Alex Megos is out now on the men's, and there's Oceana McKenzie over on the right-hand side, attempting the slab that's just been topped by Luchka.
Yeah, just a note, Stefano Cazenove didn't really progress out of the starting position on that one, unfortunately, so he'll have to fight on the next boulders.
You can see the scene here in Meiringen. So what you can't see is the snow that fell yesterday. was something of a surprise to wake up on Thursday morning with heavy snow.
Good progress here on the left slab. Men's number 1 for the second climber out. Megos gets the zone hold controlled. Just a tiny little jib that he's working on there. Megos has actually won previous competitions, some of the smaller internationals pre-season. Quiff, I think it was 2016, he won based on his slab climbing. Just got to push up to this top section now, using that groove that comes into use quite a lot here in Meiringen. There's a tiny little red jib just underneath that finish hold. This is pure, proper slab climbing. Interestingly, just opening out the chalk bag, he's obviously so comfortable in that position.
It does look a particularly desperate move, this, for the men. You've got to creep out left ever so slightly and really trust that left foot, the zone hold that he's currently standing on with the left foot. He's wondering how high he can get before he launches. At some stage, you just got to commit to that final move, but you want to get as close to it as you possibly can.
It's going to be one of those moves. That foot is so high, the shorter you are, the harder it is going to be to stand up.
Creeps up now, and he managed to get the penultimate hold, but the left foot went. It looked as if he felt he had it, and Oceana McKenzie does have it. Women's 1.
Good start from Oceana. Apologies, I did say Solsar earlier. Let's get the coffees in. Long semi-finals ahead of us.
So Alex finds himself all alone on the stage. He was close.
He
An
was
awful
close.
lot closer than Stefano.
Classic thing there, though, with the big stretch up on a slab with such bad foothold. The more you stretch, the heel lifts off the foothold, and the more chance there is of your foot slipping. Maximum contact is needed on these bad footholds on these slab by keeping the heels really down. You can see as he smears through there, heels pushing through the calves, getting those heels facing the ground. As soon as you stretch, though, you've got to lift them at some point. And he committed to that point and inevitably slipped off. Note of interest, there is bits of carpet available for the climbers just to rub the chalk and dust off their shoes, which is going to be critical for these slab moves. Let's have another look then at Megos on this top section. This time controls it with the one hand and gets it done.
So both boulders topped. Women's 1 top bow both of the climbers, and Alex Megos finds a way on men's 1.
So far, so good, Meiringen.
So we'll just have a wait. Remember, because this is a semi-final, the climbers don't just come out as soon as the boulder is available. They do have a statutory 5 minutes rest in between boulders. So we'll have a short pause. Mike, first impressions? I'm slightly surprised. We've seen 3 tops and 4 climbers so far.
Well, I think it's really interesting. As always, it's basically pointless to predict how it's going to go. But a lot of the times in the semi-final rounds, we see people who are really good at qualifying coming out last, who sometimes struggle to convert that into one of those top 6 finals places. But in the men's competition especially, the field is completely spread. It's really hard to know exactly where people are in terms of their level. The competition in the men's side is so open that anybody, I think there's 6 previous World Cup winners from last season made it into the semi-finals here, and they're not in the top 6. They're all over the place. So anybody's game here. In the women's competition, I would say it's a little bit more kind of predictable, I would say. I think the best overall over the last couple of seasons, some of the best climbers are right up there at the top. So to see early tops is potentially quite surprising. Yeah, but you know, it's the first event of the season. It's so difficult to predict these things. Good boulders though. Personally, I like this style. Proper bit of climbing. You can see across the wall there a blizzard of holds, a lot of big pinches, and interestingly quite a lot of new holds this season, where some of the sponsors of this round have brought new shapes to the event, and that's always good to see because it challenges the climbers in completely new ways. And interestingly, the material that a lot of these holds are made of, they've opted to use a lot more fiberglass holds. So for those hold aficionados out there, that means that the conditions on those holds may stay in pretty decent nick throughout the round. There's 20 climbers, a lot of people to get through, a lot of slopey, big slopey holds, big pinches.
So Yufei Pan is now out on the stage. Over on the right, though we can't see her right now, that you can see far right of the screen, Alex Johnson of the USA, as I mentioned earlier, first international comp for her since 2015. And be interesting to see how she gets on. Went pretty well in the qualifiers yesterday, did enough to make it into the top 20. Luchka now gives us our first look at women's 2.
Yeah, women's 2, that's one of the big fiberglass holds I was talking about, completely new shapes here. Interesting sort of hard stand-up section, and then a into some pretty disastrously bad crimps. Straight through this section so far. Luchka's looking really good here, but like I said, she did make the finals in one of the pre-season events, the Studio Block Masters, just a couple of weeks ago. But she's climbing so steadily. We saw that for her method on the slab. Just seems to be taking this event all in her stride at the moment. Method, predictably here from the route setters, was that you use that right hand's yellow crimp and then fire up to the left whilst flipping back down to the right. We'll see if that happens. The competitors always seem to find a way, whether it's the way that they intended or not.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Luchka reads this one. So what Jamie Cassidy, the head route setter for here in Meiringen, was saying that's how you do it. So you cross the hands and then snap up to both of the blue holds above simultaneously. You can't really release one followed by the other. That's exactly the right method.
Cool move, really cool move.
Yeah, the route setters would be pleased that was read correctly by Luchka. Interestingly, Jamie said when you're there it's obvious, although it doesn't look it from the ground, but we'll see. So Stefano Gisolfi again give us our first good look at men's 2.
Yeah, you don't see too many moves like that in a lead World Cup final that he's more used to. Stefano's been training a lot though. He's been selected for the overall. Had the pleasure of setting a comp for him in London a few months ago. It was really great hanging out with Stefano and kind of learning how he's going about his season. Really working on those dynamic moves, but not too many of them this season. That is pretty much the only dynamic move in the men's competition, but it's more of a traditional hand dyno rather than multiple stage foot dynos. We'll get into the subtleties of that later as Yufei plans just on this really nervous stand-up move.
Yeah, so Alex Megos kind of got this move and a similar thing happened. Alex fell slightly higher but got back on and managed it not long after.
I'd say that is going to be one of those footholds that could be disastrously bad by the time we get to climber number 20, Nathan Phillips.
So here's Luchka, safely up to the zone. Just slippy on that big fiberglass volume. It's quite a complex section, that lower section on women's 2. There's not actually that many volumes, but you make quite a lot of subtle movements across them. Here's Alex on women's 1. Remember, she's got to touch that hold simultaneously with all 4 limbs. There we go, both feet, both hands.
Alex Johnson's by far and away got to be the tallest climber in this women's field, I think. So for her to get all 4 points on that bowl hold is really difficult. And I wouldn't want to be standing on top of that if it was me personally out there on the mats.
It's a dual texture hold. The bit that she stood on, the darker red bit, there's more or less no texture. There's our clock. Apologies for the delay. 1 minute 30 left in this round. Yeah, there's no texture on the darker red section, but she's safely across to the zone. Remember, the climbers are ranked first of all on how many of the boulders they top, and then it comes down to how many of the zone holds they got. All of the boulders have a clearly marked zone hold midway up, so she's safely secured that. She's already taken a score of some sort off the boulder, but a top would be nice. Speaking of which, just had a top from Yufei Pan. We'll try and get a replay for you in a second. So that men's slab now been topped twice by the first 3 climbers.
Hard to watch there, just that classic sort of wobble off a slab where you almost fall off quite a lot. It's, I think it's a boulder where you almost fall to the top.
So less than 1 minute remaining now, but plenty of time for these athletes to get up there and get to the top.
So Stefano now with 38 seconds to go. He's going to be one of the climbers to really keep an eye on. Incredibly strong lead climber, seems to be hitting the form of his life over the past season or 2. What can he do in the bouldering? He's looking pretty handy. Let's keep an eye for now on Luchka. I wonder if she was thinking about varying the method. No. So she's got a snap now for those 2 holds above. She tried it earlier, she tries it again. She's got the method correct. We'll cut over to Stefano Gisolfi just as he tops men's 2 in the nick of time. 5 seconds to spare.
That was nice from Stefano. He really showed his composure. He's obviously really used to the big stage, but he got up to the top section of that with 10 seconds to spare. And sometimes you see the climbers kind of fluff it at that point. Let's have another look at this big move out. Right, nice swing and catch onto down to the zone hold. And then this next section was a big palm down rollover. I'm sure we'll see plenty of action on that boulder as we work our way through the event.
So Berit Schweiger now of Austria just made her way out onto women's 1 over on the far right. Oceana McKenzie's back out. She's trying women's 2. Alex Megos, who you just saw flying through the air there in the new very fetching red shorts that the German team is sporting on men's 2. And Taisei Ishimatsu, our first of 7 Japanese men in the semi-final today. Remember, it's 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So on our next rotation, we'll get our first chance to see the third boulders for the men and the women. There's Alex on the right, full commitment.
Yeah, full commitment. He's just kind of got to try and stay close to the wall whilst firing sideways. It's kind of classic move these days, is a dynamic sideways, where it feels like you just give it maximum power, but sometimes too much power can force you away from the wall. So you could have almost got to float it outright. Try and stay close to the wall. Distance, power and precision.
We didn't see that much of Stefano on the boulder. We caught glimpses of him, but we never really got a good look at it. But it didn't seem like he was making amazing progress, and then suddenly found himself towards the top end of it.
Yeah, it's one of those classic timing moves, really. It just takes you multiple goes, unless you're an absolute beast on that style. And to learn the move, learn what the body's got to do through the air. You've got 4 things to think about: 2 feet and 2 arms. Try not to bump your head on something on the way through as well.
One of those easy when you know how moves.
One of those moves, once you do it, you can do it time and time again as well.
Yeah.
So the top section is quite tricky on that men's jump.
So Berit, I was about to say, she'd released the right hand before the right foot came out, so she wouldn't have made a legal start, she remembered, and got all 4 points touching that starting hold. You said it earlier, Mike, it is tricky coming out onto a slab. You've been backstage listening to drum and bass or Metallica or whatever, and suddenly you've got to calm it down. Because the athletes don't know what's coming. There's no observation in the semi-final round.
Yeah, you need to get a bit of Bieber on or something instead.
A bit of Bieber. Secret believer. So Taisei heading out left. There's the zone. So this is clearly a tricky move to get the tiny hold he's standing on is a dual texture. He actually skipped out the penultimate hold, went straight to the top. Good start for him. Here's Oceana. I'm trying to skip out that move altogether.
Yeah, interesting. She's got 2 decent feet there, but the wall is sort of an overhanging, leaning arete there, so we might see that method come into play a little bit, actually. 2 good holds that she's going up for. The 2 good holds, 2 blue holds, I should say, 2 good blue holds are definitely within reach for that method. See Berit Schrager just using the screw hole on the bottom left of that volume just to push off and out left, so climbers finding that they can go more statically on this boulder.
Yes, those grey volumes have slightly bigger than average screw holes. We don't want to lead you down one of your route setting rabbit holes. We'll be here all day, but they are quite unusually big.
Well, ultimately, a few of the problems we found on slab climbing in the competition scene around the last few years is climbers can effectively crimp the screw holes. The screws have to be drilled out to obviously be screwed onto the wall safely, and climbers finding it's actually easier to hold the screw holes than it is any part of the volume. So these ones, they've used some washers in the screw holes just to block that. Crafty climbers are still finding something to use there. You can see that with her left hand wrapping the index finger just around one of those washers a little bit. They are very, very flat though. I think the route setters have made the correct choice. The right foothold is terrible.
Yeah, she's getting plenty of encouragement. She's got to creep out slowly, and she manages it. And I can tell you, just over to the left of her, Oceana McKenzie, I'm pretty sure just top women's 2. I turned around as she was hitting the mat, but I think we may just have had a top of women's 2. Men's 2, meanwhile, we've got Alex Megos engaged, and he's just not finding the timing. As you said earlier, it's one of those moves where once you've done it, you can probably do it multiple times, but he just hasn't quite found the method.
Yeah, the foothold is sort of inwards as well. When he fires that right, he's got to pull himself in, as I said before, which is a combination of pulling really hard on the left hold, which is not easy because it's terrible, and as soon as you hit that right hand, you've got to hit the good bit to just pull the right leg in.
So 3 seconds to go. He'll only get the zone if he gets anything here, Alex Megos, and he's not going to be awarded the zone for that, sadly. So no top for him. Yufei Pan comes out for his goal men's 2, which was topped by Stefano Gisolfi. Speaking of whom, he's just off to the right on the American Dream boulder, the red, white and blue, men's 3. And Luchka's under the big yellow holds, the very busy looking women's 3. Evgenia Kazbakova and Jongwon Chon make their first appearances on the live stream of 2019. Suspect it won't be the last for either of them. Jongwon Chon slightly lower down the order than we might have expected, but there were a lot of tops in yesterday's qualifiers for the men.
Well, I think that's why the field is all over the place. Previous World Cup winners, World Cup overall winners, slightly further down, coming out early, just because you couldn't really afford to make any mistakes whatsoever in the men's competition yesterday. Came down to climbing the boulders very quickly.
Speaking of which, Jongwon Chon cracking on here. If that left foot stays good, he may just be able to miss out that final red crimp and go straight for the top hold. Chooses to go for the crimp, but it just leaved him off. I suspect he might go direct that time. The foot looked reasonably solid.
Yeah, I'm pleased that holds red, because it could be a red herring. Some climbers finding it easier to go straight to the top. Lutschka, meanwhile, on women's free, first good opportunity to look at this. Lots of new holds on this one and lots of big slopers.
It's quite a strange boulder, this. It's steeper than it looks. And although the holds aren't that far apart, the moves are quite technical.
Yeah, you say it's steeper than it looks. It's about 40 degrees overhanging that section. It's quite hard to tell from the front on cameras.
This is a burly men's three as well that Stefano Ghisolfi's engaged in. Quite long as well. Endurance unlikely to be a problem for him. His first look at Evgenia on women's one. Alex Johnson's just topped women's two. There she is, making her way off the stage. Earned herself a few minutes of extra rest. And Yufei Pan looking pretty handy on men's two.
Yeah, nice little release move here. Either squeak the knee up or just try and squeak the left foot up, or take the big flag swing.
It's a really awkward move, we're told, trying to get the left foot up, and you can see exactly why. Your arm is right where you want your leg to go, so something's got to give.
Opted for the dynamic version there. We actually saw one of the route setters giving that move a go this morning. Managed to get it a little bit slow, but a classic little release move there.
So not huge progress made on either men's three or women's three so far. Evgenia safely up to the zone on women's one.
Evgenia did pick up a slight shoulder injury, we believe, in the Studio Block Masters. Pulled out of the semi-final round there after the qualifiers, but it looks like she played her cards nicely because she finds the top, and she's obviously in good shape here, Evgenia.
So it would seem early on that there's going to be quite a few tops in this semi-final. Both the slabs been seeing plenty of action. Here's Jongwon Chon, the latest to try his luck. Must have had a couple of attempts since we last panned over to the far left of the stage. I think he's going to go direct. Oh, and you hear from the reaction of the crowd, that tells you the story. Remember, they can't just touch the top hole, they can't just slap it. Need to control it.
That was the slowest death I think I've seen on the slab for a long time.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. Got to control it with both hands. He had one hand pretty solid, but just couldn't find a way to bring that left hand up without affecting his balance too much.
This move on men's number 3 off of the big blue bobbly hold up to the big white dish looks savagely hard.
This was set by Garrett, one of our route setting team. Garrett the American, you'd never know from his choice of holds. Lutschka working hard, both the men and the women after the slab. The slab is really a gentle introduction relatively, because it gets pretty physical from there on out on the remaining 3 boulders for both the men and the women.
Nice method there from Lutschka, dropping the left hand back down to where she just left from, just to be able to release the heels. Yufei Pan, on the other hand, is back up and statically gets his left foot up this time. He should have no problems from here. He's going to join Stefano Ghisolfi with a top of men's number 2. That time didn't need the big release. Maybe did a bit of stretching down on the mat. Sometimes on those moves, just got to have a good go just to kind of wake up the body a little bit, get those hip flexors going before you can really get that high foot.
So 10 seconds to go. Jongwon Chon is not going to have time for another attempt. It's time consuming just to get to this stage. So this is it. He's got to launch pretty quickly. 2, 1, and he does not find a way. Well, given how many tops that boulder's had, there's the potential for an upset there, because Jongwon Chon is someone we would expect to see, if not in the final, very, very close to it, and he didn't manage to get number 1 done. There'll be a big cheer here, and there it is. Petra Klingler is out under a bit of pressure in her home World Cup, and Alexei Rubtsov of Russia is out relatively early in the semi-final, which he likes to do. He likes to climb early in the semi-final if possible, and he got his wish yesterday. Had a bit of a nervous wait after he climbed, thought he might not make it, but he's safely through, and he's climbing quite early, as is the 2016 world champion Petra Klingler.
As you said, Charlie, so much pressure here on Petra with the hometown crowd all gunning for Petra, and it's just every time she topped a boulder in the qualifiers, just look of huge relief just to get through the round. An interesting, nice little mantle on top of that hold there, rather than the foot first method. Good mantle skills. A couple of different options for the start of that women's one then. Going to be a real testament to her mentality if she can get through this round with so much pressure. Big crowd building here already in Meiringen. Most of them here to support Petra.
Yeah, it was almost as if she was the only show in town yesterday. Obviously we've got the Adam Ondras and Janja Garmbrets of this world walking around, but all eyes were on Petra. She had the most autograph hunters around her, the most attention from the local media. So yeah, she is under some pressure. How will she react? For now, let's focus on Alexei Rubtsov. There he is on the left on the slab. We know he doesn't generally have any problem with pulling hard, so if he can get his semi-final off to a good start with the top of the slab, which he can, he could be sitting pretty.
Yeah, good effort there. Showed confidence pushing through that left foot. We saw with Chon just before, he was sort of nervously trying to stand on that. Alexei just put the power down straight away and believed it would stick. Nice little tap of the right foot, bit of an air flag for him to control that finish hold, make sure he doesn't barn door off of that side pull to finish.
Just had another top on women's 2. It's Berit Schweiger. Taisei, no problem with the jump. The gyms in Japan, well catered for that type of move. And you could tell he'd been practicing, no problem at all. So now he's got to try and get his left foot up. So he's got the left knee, but it must be incredibly uncomfortable. High texture volume. You do not want to be putting bare skin on that thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially if you're wearing shorts. Interesting that where you place that left palm may not seem that crucial when you roll over, but as soon as you try and put your left foot up, it's really dependent on where your left hand is. Nice top on the right. Petra gets it done. You can see the crowd appreciate that. Big crowd building here already in this fantastic converted tennis centre for the World Cup.
Yeah, it's a fabulous venue. Meiringen looks stunning as well under the snow. It was Wednesday night into Thursday. It snowed hard. It snowed, I'm told, about 50 centimetres. And it's made the village look absolutely stunning. There's Oceano, number 3.
Yeah, that's where we saw Luchka just dropping back down to the first handhold on the left to release that heel. 2 quick tops in the women's so far, actually. Women's competition looking doable.
That was a top we just got there as he dropped Taisei.
Who would want to be a route setter? Yesterday's qualification really hard for the women's. Just 2 tops to get through. We've already seen 2 tops in the semi-finals. I reckon this could be a high topping round.
That was Taisei Shimatsu topping out. As I say, 7 Japanese men in today's semi-final, but just the 2 women. One of the talking points from yesterday's qualifiers, just the 2 Japanese women through to the semi-final. We're used to seeing an awful lot more than that. Here's Alex Megos again. Endurance unlikely to be an issue. Known primarily as an outdoor route climber, lead climber, and he won't have any trouble hanging on for a while. But they are brutally hard moves. Been spending a lot of time over in the States recently, Alex. So used to burley climbing, but that is clearly a very hard boulder men's 3. We'll see if it sees much traffic as time goes by.
Interesting to see if the judges awards her the zone
Yeah,
hold
I
on
was
that
just
one.
pondering that. We shall see. We'll keep an eye on Oceana's score. 2 tops for her on the first 2 boulders. Nobody yet topped women's 3. We should point out she's only the 2nd climber to attempt it. Alex is underway on men's 3 as well. The rest of the stage is empty. So it looks like it could come down to these 3rd and 4th boulders.
I think so, but in the women's competition, Jamie Cassidy, the head route setter, was suggesting that women's 4 might be okay. I'm not going to say it's easy. This is the World Cup semi-final standard. Definitely not easy, but yeah, I think we could start to see some important moments here early on in the competition with quick tops. Does happen time and time again in the semi-finals though, the people who qualified lower down through the qualification round coming out and getting quick tops.
Julia Guerra of Austria gets her 2019 season underway properly. There's Gregor Vezonik, the winner for Munich in 2018. He's not doing the combined, he's staying as a bouldering specialist. It'll be interesting to see whether that works in his favour throughout World Cup season as people train more and more for the speed and the lead and drop off their bouldering training. Can someone like Gregor capitalise?
Really good first effort from Jongwon Chon there on men's number 2. Looked like he was on a slightly different set of holds to Magos' attempt on that boulder just a few climbers ago. Luchkru just off to the right hand side. Our first look at women's number 4 as well. Quite surprised if Chon doesn't find a top on that.
Just to let you know, Stefano Gusoffi, I was about to say, there he is. He's just got cracky on men's 4. You can see it's over to the right. It's just to the left of the women's slab. So on the right hand side of the Meiringen wall. Another physical boulder. We might be saying that a few times today. So no tops as yet. 8 climbers still on the wall. Gregor's looking pretty handy on men's 1. He's got himself standing up, just rocking onto the zone now. Julian on women's 1.
Interesting start here on men's number 4. There's 2 really bad screw-ons. Let's just focus back on Gregor. He's got to push up to that top hold, opts for the little red herring before going to the finish hold. Right hand up to that little tiny side pull. And Chon gets it done this time. Seemed to find something a bit better than this time. Look at that left hand, pushes out really wide to the left hand side of that big yellow volume, which should leave the body nice and open for your foot or a knee.
You really can't help but wince when the knee is placed there because it's a high texture volume, not a nice place.
Sort of a shin grinder on the edge as well. Looks like he's making the knees work though. If you've got them, use them. Double knee match. Don't see that too often.
Luchka looking pretty handy on the right hand side of your screen there on women's 4. So there's the zone. Just to let you know, Oceana McKenzie, she didn't get the zone on women's 3. We were just discussing that, but Luchka's definitely got it on women's 4, and she could be heading for a top here. Little slap with the right hand. She's got 2.5 minutes to find a way. Jongwon Chon's found a way with 2.5 minutes to spare. Needed that. Evgenia as well on number 2.
Women's number 1 and 2 getting multiple tops here at the moment. Men's number 2 getting quite a lot of tops, and jury's out a little bit onto how many tops we're going to see on men's number 1. Looking at a first look at Luchka and women's number 4 there. Root setters have just tweaked the top section. 2 really bad side pull crimps up there. Just tweaked that a little bit just before the competition started. So let's see if they've made the right decision. As we look back at Gregor with just under 2 minutes left. What he learned from that previous attempt where he sort of didn't quite know what to do at the top and just launched for it. Maybe this time he's going to find something a little bit different.
So there comes a moment where you've just got to push off that left foot. And the left hand lands. So yeah, we saw Jongwon Chon go up with his right hand and not be able to find a way to bring the left up, and it was the other way around for Gregor.
I think when you go up with your left hand like that, the foot is directly underneath you, so it's really hard not to tip towards the left, if you know what I mean. It's really hard not to barn door. Bit of terminology there for you. A bit of barn dooring off to the left because the left foot is so far right.
Here's Alex on women's 3. It would be the first top of it if she could do it, and she can. Gets a big cheer from the crowd.
Not to take anything away from the athletes who are finding the tops here, but I think the route setter is going to be getting a tad nervous down there. They did tweak a couple of these boulders to make them a touch easier. But we're seeing lots of tops. All 3 women's boulders that we've seen attempted so far have been tops. Only women's number 4 that's not had a top yet.
Here's Gregor going for the top again. You can see his frustration. He's got time for another go, but he doesn't have that much time. It takes a while to get yourself established on the slab, and he is taking a scorecard. Doesn't fancy another go.
That was a good angle to see what Luchka's up against there. So steep. And Stefano is high on men's number 4.
These are the kind of moves he should normally eat up, but it's a tough slap for the top, and he can't find a way. And with 15 seconds to go, he's not going to have time for another attempt.
Yeah, he had to go quickly just because of the time left on the clock for that top move. If he had a bit more time, you thought he might have jimmied the feet a little bit just to find a better body position.
So the stage now full again. It will be for most of this semi-final. Interesting to see how this one goes. Shauna Coxey has just made her way out onto Women's 1, had a series of injuries after winning the overall title and winning here in Meiringen in 2016 and 2017. 2018, not her year for reasons beyond her control. As I say, a series of injuries, but she's back in 2019.
Yeah, it was really interesting talking to Shauna yesterday. You know, the fans out there love to see Shauna on the stage, and she just said, to be honest, I just don't know what to expect this year. She's had knee problems. She's had an injection in her knee just a couple of weeks ago to try and get rid of some issues there. She's had finger injuries, she's had a bit of everything, and she's definitely focusing on the Olympics. So it's very, very early this year. This is the most important year, as we said, in terms of Olympic selection. Those events coming up much later on in the year, so it's early doors yet in the season for Shauna, so we will see.
Tim Royce of the Netherlands just got underway on men's 1 as well. Not a country steeped in climbing heritage, but they do churn out quite a few good climbers, considering the sparsity of outdoor climbing they have there.
Yeah, we saw a big team from the Netherlands at the Climbing Works International Festival at the start of March, with Tim just narrowly missing out on the finals there, 7th place he ended up.
Yeah, it's the first bouldering semi-final for him. Seen him in a couple of lead semi-finals a few years back, but first bouldering semi-final. Not Alexei Rubtsov's first rodeo.
Alexei really struggling with this jump, actually.
I'm surprised, yeah. I when you see these boulders, you see the shape of the wall and you see the nature of the moves, you kind of think these are the moves that Alexei will get on with. There's Petra Klingler on women's 2 finding a different method. The route setters will be cursing, but it looks like it could be effective. It's a reasonably good hole she's going for at the top. And that's 2 tops on 2 boulders for Petra Klingler, and you can see the emotion. She needs to find some way of dialing that down again, because boulder 3 is another challenge again.
Yeah, that's what she was like pretty much on every boulder in the qualifiers yesterday. So much emotion. Alexei Rubtsov looking good here.
Yeah, no problem with the flexibility to get the left foot up. We've seen quite a few climbers struggling with that, and he should bring it home from here. There it is from Alexei. I visited his gym in Moscow in August last year, saw his stretching regime. Let me tell you, he has earned that flexibility.
Made you wince.
Yeah. So here's Berit Schweiger on number 3.
We have just seen Alex Johnson top this one as well, so we know it's definitely doable. Megos just floating around on those crimps at the moment. No footholds at the bottom of men's number 4 at all. He's got 2 little undercuts underneath a little capping roof to pull on. Just 2 little toe hooks. And Shauna Coxey with 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes to go. He's looking very comfortable here. It's a kind of worst case scenario for a slab climber. Standing on a really good hole, but you don't want to leave it.
Yeah, yesterday we were making a little feature that we'll put on the IFSC social media, where we got climbers, coaches, anyone involved with the IFSC to say their feelings about the upcoming season in 3 words. And you know what Shauna said? Absolutely no idea. It is 3. Yeah, it's a step into the unknown for her. She doesn't really know where her form is compared to the rest of the field.
Traditionally, Shauna's been very good at slab climbing. She does train on a specific slab wall that she's been built. We have seen this step through method work quite well. She's actually dialing into those little washes on just underneath the right foot there. She does the shoes just to smear in the end. No issues whatsoever in the end for Shauna. Very, very controlled. She knew it was a very doable boulder and just took her time. See there on the men's competition, the 2 little undercut footholds to start. And
it's a bit of a funky start.
Yeah, really brutal set of crimps next. And if Alex Megos is struggling to crimp, then they must be quite bad.
This was Tim on number 1. Let's have a look. So solid with the left hand. Right hand comes up to join it.
You see there's so much tension down the right hand side of his body there. His right leg didn't flick up into the corner at all there. Just rigid all the way down.
Yeah, here's the slightly funky start on men's 4. So you get both hands on there, and then these awkward toe hooks. Remember, once you've started, you can't then touch the mat. You may see 1 or 2 climbers fall foul of that. The judges will be keeping a close eye.
Yeah, it's a bit of a body scraper, that start. I think the route says basically, because of the nature of the angle of that wall, so vertical, if any foothold whatsoever there made the problem very easy. So if in doubt, take the footholds off and let them camp us around on some crimps.
Luchka Rakovic has finished her rotation. 1 top and 3 zones for her. Currently puts her in 6th place. It'd be an absolute miracle if that turned out to be enough to make the top 6 at the end of the semi-final, but she is done. Alex Megos is done as well for this semi-final. Have a look at his scores in just a second. For now, though, it's Rei Sugimoto has just made his way out into men's 1. The winner from Vale in 2018 is out, and Sol Sa of South Korea is climbing on women's 1. In the men's World Cups last year, we had 7 events, 7 winners, Rei being one of them, won in Vale in June. And interestingly enough, of those 7 winners, 6 took part in the Meiringen qualifiers, and all 6 have made it into the semi-final. Another one is that man there, just to the right of Rei, Gregor Vazonik.
Men's number 2 is one of those really interesting boulders where you can make progress on it, but you can't get disheartened if you can't do it initially. You've got to keep the attempts coming. We saw that from Alexei Rupsov. He couldn't get anywhere near it, then all of a sudden next time we panned over to him, he was at the top of the boulder, so you can't really get too disheartened. You've got to keep your head strong and keep trying.
There's the scores on the left hand side of your screen. A fully coloured square is a top, and a half means that the climber got a zone.
Alex Johnson is on a flyer here in the semi-finals round. You can just see her on the right-hand side there on women's number 4, up to a pair of sort of crimpy blades. Nice top for Rei on men's number 1. So that top's coming thick and fast now on men's number 1. And no tops yet on women's number 4.
Oceana McKenzie got that one done, actually. Sorry, Mike.
It's all right.
Alex was the only person who got number 3 done, though.
That's why we're a team.
Exactly, yeah. There's no I in team. There's a me if you look hard enough. Sol Sa now on the slab. Immediately to her left is Yufei Pan. Yeah, Oceana McKenzie got that number 4 done, but got nothing on number 3. Alex Johnson, currently the only climber who's topped women's 3. Alex got number 1, didn't get number 1, and then got number 2 and 3. If she gets number 4, that'd be 3 tops and 4 zones for her. That would look pretty handy, you'd have thought. I think I'm going to make the prediction that we'll see somebody top all 4 boulders on the women's side, I think.
Absolutely. Women's number 2 not quite panning out in the method that we expected from the route settlers. We saw it from Luchka Ratkovic very early on. Other climbers finding different ways.
Yeah, Petra going a bit more direct. Interesting chatting to Petra Klingler yesterday. She's appearing on Switzerland's biggest sport talk show tomorrow night. Apparently, I'm not joking here. Apparently, Roger Federer couldn't make it, and so they got Petra instead. But she said, "Oh, maybe Roger can come, so we'll appear together." These are the kind of circles that Petra Klingler mixes in Switzerland. So Alex Johnson could put herself in a very, very strong position if she could find a top on that number 4.
Chon getting a nice hand wrap on the right hand side there to try and control the swing off of that big blue sort of cheese hold on men's number 3.
Put himself under a bit of pressure by not getting number 1 done, Jongwon Chon. It means he's got to find something pretty special on the remaining 3 boulders. That's Gregor on number 2. It's a new shape where he's got his right foot. You maybe can't quite pick it out, but there's a big white volume with another hold attached to it, another white hold. It's a completely new shape for this season. Climbers not used to it. Different method being tried from Gregor.
It's a huge moment here in men's number 3. That guy's talking about Jongwon Chon somehow held that top hold. Charlie, you were saying he really needed that, and he put everything on the line on that top hold. Just hit it, sort of fingers splayed all over the place, but somehow used that immense finger power that he's got.
Yeah. It was the kind of hold that once Jongwon Chon's got his hand on it, he's not going to let go. And there we saw it. It's a reasonably good little screw-on hold on top of the main blue volume. Yeah, and the Chon vice closed around it, and it was not releasing. So here's his compatriot Sol Sa heading out left on the slab. If you don't top the slab on either the men's or the women's side, you really are putting yourself under a lot of pressure, and Jongwon Chon's definitely fallen foul of that. Julia Guerra here is trying the method the route setters wanted.
I do like that method, I have to say. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
very
really
cool
nice.
move.
It's you could tell there she was already kind of on the way down by the time her hands landed.
Yeah, just short of the two good edges.
She's out of time. Here comes Alexei Rubtsov. Again, this is the kind of bowler you think he might get on with. Been very vocal in the past couple of the years about the fact that he likes traditional burly boulders. He's definitely got some today. Katja Kadic and Angie Perhak get underway of Team Slovenia. 3 Slovenian women and 3 Slovenian men in the semi-final. 2 of them just got underway. Katja, another of the climbers you might have expected to be slightly higher up the order. Don't bet against her for a place in the final.
Well, I think with the women's qualifiers yesterday, it was so hard. It's quite hard to judge exactly kind of how everybody's performing yesterday. Obviously, Janja was a standout performance. We'll see her coming out last. We felt the only climber to get 5 tops, but a lot of the others were just out there battling hard. And Angie won the Studio Block Masters just 2 weeks ago and is looking on incredibly good form so far this season.
There was a quiet confidence about the Slovenian team when they rolled into town. Chatted to a few of their coaches, and no big chat, just a quiet confidence, and you can see why. The climber's going well. Plenty of time for another go there, Angie.
I was just joking with Angie yesterday because we'll come back to that actually. Because we got Petra Klinger now fighting hard and looking strong.
So solid landing that left hand. And again, these holds are not really that far apart, but the body positions are a little more precise than you might think. And it's very physical, and it's much steeper than it looks. But Petra looking so strong, as you said, a lot of pinch strength required, but she's seemingly having no problems. This is a big move to the top though. She got one hand. I think she'll be reasonably confident she can find a way on that, especially now she's had a little feel of that top hold, learned a little bit about it.
Alexei, in the meantime, trying to repeat what Chon's just done and get a top here. Really, really long boulder, this men's number 3, so physical and just crimping the living daylights out of that hold there. Just pressing, there goes the wrap crimp.
Now is he going to cross his left hand over past the right one, or is he going to bring it next to it?
Big slap of the right heel there and toe hooking under that big white volume with the left foot seems to be the method to get you nice and close to the wall, get you the body position. Oceana McKenzie still leading the way with those 3 tops.
Yeah, her inability to get number 3 done doesn't look like it's going to count against her too much, and you can see there Jungwon Chon crucially got the zone on number 1, but no top. I think if he'd got the top, he'd be not too far off home and hosed, but he still could do enough. Here's Katja. Always a fun climber to watch.
Interesting boulder this one. We're seeing some of the athletes managing to find a quite stable push across to the left, and some opting for that more dynamic push into the thumb to cut, the upside down thumb catch for the right hand. Shauna Coxey battling with this interesting women's number 3. Oh, that was impressive from Shauna Coxey. Fired all the way up to the right hand, caught it with one hand and nearly did a one-arm pull-up on it. Shauna Coxey has found a completely different method here, missing out 2 of the holds. Shauna Coxey of hold there, here at Meiringen.
Yeah, 2-time winner. Top for Tim on number 2. The only person to have won twice in Meiringen. Shauna. Could she make it 3? It would be... you'd have to say after the year or so she's had, it would be a big surprise, but she's looking very strong in this semi-final. There won't be many people betting against her. So Katja's safely up to the zone, but still not found a top. She's got 1 minute 20 to do so.
Everything in your body is telling you want your left foot on that right hold. So you've got to do this really, really long step through. It's quite an unusual move.
Yeah, and the problem is as that left foot comes through, it just pushes the hips away from the wall and just begins to lever you off.
Petra then for the big fight.
Looking super strong. There's the top hold, and again she gets that right hand up, and she can't get the left to join it. Looked to me like she was perhaps a bit too far left on that top hold. The sweet spot maybe a bit further to the right.
I think what we're seeing here, we talked a little bit about the style in the pre-show, that these are sort of traditional hard, powerful boulders, which means it's hard to have multiple good goes at it. I think we saw there with Petra, we saw it with Alexei on his boulder as well. It's hard to maintain the physical fitness throughout the boulder and have lots of good goes.
So Katja, she's running pretty low on time. She has got time to top it out. She's quite tall, which will help her for this final move. And there she finds a way in the nick of time. 10 seconds to spare. I think that's going to be the last top of the round. Alexei Rubtsov didn't find a way on men's 3. He's just walking off the stage now looking pretty hacked off with the whole thing, to be honest. Here's Jongwon Chon on men's 4, top here. You think may save his bacon after the failure on number 1. Afra Hoenig and Yoshiyuki Ogata, the latest climbers to come out. We're into the second half already of this semi-final in Meiringen. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here talking you through it. And we'll be doing the same in the final. 7 p.m. Meiringen time, Central European time. Do not miss it. First final of 2019. Evgenia, we haven't actually seen that much of her. She's already on to women's 4. When you've got 8 climbers on the stage, you can't follow everyone as closely as you might like. No such worries in the final. Again in 2019 we will have split finals, so the men followed by the women. And you won't miss a single attempt by a single climber.
Gregor Vazonic is in big trouble here. No tops for him so far. Only just the 2 zones to his name and quite a lot of attempts. Got to pull something special out of the bag here, but that is an incredible show of force up to that left hand, looking really strong on that move. No issues whatsoever. We saw Stefano Gasol really early on, just couldn't do that move at all. Gregor Vazonic on the other hand is looking good here. Those first 2 boulders really not suiting him. He's had a word with himself backstage over the last 5 minutes rest. Solsar on the right hand side is just battling with the foot options here.
I think she's, I didn't think she liked the method the route setters had in mind. Gregor looking a bit frustrated, and you can see him. See how much these boulders take out of you. He looks exhausted as he comes down. There's the scores as they stand. So as I mentioned, Chon has the opportunity to go through still, but you can see in that left-hand column just how many tops Boulder 1 has had. He really didn't do himself any favours by not finding a top, but he might rescue himself on men's 4.
Yeah, he certainly did himself proud to getting a top on men's number 3.
You can see there Oceana McKenzie. She's done now, 3 tops on 4 boulders, missed the zone on number 3, but as you can see from that 3rd column, no shame in that. Alex Johnson, the only person to even get a zone on that. Speaking of which, there'll be 2 climbers with the zone on number 3 now. I fear those scores may not have been up to date actually, because we saw Petra get one. There's Yoshiyuki on the left. It's a name I've been championing for a while as a man to keep an eye on. A true all-rounder. Rei Sugimoto flying through the air on men's 2, immediately to the right. One of the bigger climbers out there, Ray, so I was about to say might struggle with getting his foot up, no such worries.
Really nice double toe hook move he used there on the zone. He just releases the right hook before he jumps to the top. Slightly different method through the feet there, just to release the body tension out to the left hand side. Cool looking boulder once again here. Good moves.
Yoshiyuki looked as if he was caught in his mind between a couple of different methods there. There's Afra Hoenig just to the right. First good look at her.
And
on women's 1.
Number 4, we've seen Stefano Gasolfi in this position, but no tops on this boulder so far. Chon's got the vice crimp on the left hand side. Just got to pop to this slopey finish hold now. I say just. Looks like it's a very hard move to finish.
You don't often see Jongwon Chon get a hand on something and not stay there. It's clearly a pretty poor hold. Gregor with 1 minute 10 left on that men's 3. I think could have his work cut out. There he is. Solsa on women's 2. Trying different methods. Thought about the direct method.
Yeah, that's the method Shauna used. She landed that top right hand hold with a decent spring in her heels because she hit that hold slightly bent arm. If you just try and jump to it, hit it straight arms, I don't think you're going to be able to hold it, unfortunately.
So this could be last chance saloon for Gregor Vazonic on number 3.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to work, unfortunately. Good to think outside the box, but like you said, Charlie, his competition is pretty much done and dusted, unfortunately. Disappointment for Gregor Vazonic, winner of Munich last season. No finals for him.
So Yoshiyuki with 15 seconds to go. It seems like quite a long time for the distance he's got to cover, but it's such an awkward move. He'll need pretty much all that 15 if he's to top it, and he is. Uses his time nicely. A mature head on young shoulders, tops it with a couple of seconds to spare.
Yeah, we've said it a couple of times already. You just cannot give up in your time rotation here. You've got to keep it going all the way to the very end and always believe you can get it done.
Alana Yip of Canada, previous Boulder World Cup finalist, gets her campaign underway in the semi-finals on women's 1. Tomoaki Takata has just started on men's 1. There's Alexei Rubtsov just coming into our shot on men's 4. Not afraid of a good scrap with the boulder, Alexei. What can he do with this one? Petra Klingler is climbing on women's 4, and I have to say making pretty handy progress as it stands. Alana Yip's just getting established on women's 1. If you can hear the cheering, it's because of Petra Klingler. There she is. Is she heading for a top? Yes, she is. Petra Klingler.
Big
3 tops for her and 4 zones.
Yeah, huge moment here in the women's semi-finals. Spine tingling really with the crowd get right behind Petra every time she pulls on the wall. Only the second top of women's number 4.
That'll be enough to get her into provisional first place. She's the only climber to have got all 4 zones and 3 tops. We're just waiting for them to update, but that will move her ahead of Oceana McKenzie into first place. 3 tops, 4 zones for Petra. That was Tomoaki Takata, topping men's 1.
Yeah, no issues for him. He made the finals here last year. Quick bow to the judge, very polite. Shauna Coxey looking for a 3rd top. I think Sean has probably realised that tops are going to be crucial here and getting them done quite quickly for a place in that top 6.
Katja Kadic is back out. There's Tim on the left, men's 3. Been topped already, but it looks absolutely savage. Be interesting to see Katja here, one of the taller climbers, what her method is on women's 2. Is she eyeing up the direct where you just hop to the top? No, she's going for the method the route setters did have in mind, the cross through with the right hand.
Yeah, that little cross through just seems to be quite interesting as to where you place your right foot. If you just sort of slap it on top of the hold, it doesn't do anything for you when rolling around the corner there. Oh, nice little save from Alana there as well, sort of multiple fumbles of that undercut thumb hold. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see that again because a lot of climbers on that women's number 2 just really seem to be struggling with the body position, what to do with the right foot. No matter how big the hold is, it seems to be difficult to know where to place it. Nice effort there from Alexei on men's number 4 as well. Let's see if he can find a top on this one. Big powerful pinches, it's brand new holds from one of the manufacturers here.
Yeah, so he's got himself the zone. Top really would set him up pretty nicely though. So all the climbers off the mats with the exception of Alexei. I think Alana Yip probably the closest to a top right now. If she can get that left foot up, excuse me, she should be okay. You can see she's slightly shorter than some of the climbers who've topped in. It made that last move a tiny bit harder, but she gets it done.
Shauna's on for the big fight on the left-hand side there. She's up to this top section. We've just seen a top here from Petra. Shauna hits it with the right hand but can't control it. So draining set of boulders here with 1 minute left. I'm pretty sure Shauna will walk away from this. She's in 4th position at the moment.
That's the buzzer to signify that there's 1 minute to go. Alexei Rubtsov could put himself in a really strong position, could become the first of the men with 3 tops if he can find a way with 50 seconds to go on men's 4. Never not finished on the podium here in Meiringen. A first in 2016, second in 2017 and 3rd last year in 2018. Looking a bit despondent on men's 4. And it gives you a bit of an insight into the sets of boulders that 3 of the men are still on the stage and none of the women. All done and dusted and back in the area behind the wall.
A slight reverse from the qualification, really.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't think Alexi's going to get this done.
Andrzej's not going to get it done either. It's very surprising. He's usually very good at the dynamic style. Not getting on with that one. It's a real love-hate relationship, I think, with the men's number 2. Some climbers breezing it, but a lot struggling.
Yeah, it would seem at this early stage that if somebody can claim 3 tops on the men's side, that would almost certainly see them through. Nobody's managed it yet, and we've had some powerhouse climbers already. Over on the women's side, I think 4 tops will definitely see you through, but 3 could do the job as well.
Good to see 17-year-old Emily Phillips from the British team set up. Out-qualified Shauna Coxey, which she can tick off as a little personal achievement yesterday, but she's going really well. It's great to see such young British talent coming through. Not that I'm biased, obviously.
Alex Cazenove's underway as well. World Cup winner in Taiwan in one of the moments of 2018.
Yeah, Cazenove, one of those climbers who's going to be focused on the overall this year, and has got his tactics really dialed for this season. Like I said, the season goes all the way through to November. A lot of the best climbers really choosing which comps they're going to go to and which ones they're going to avoid. That is Emily Phillips on the right, quite dynamically across the slab.
There's Afra Honig, she's on number 2. Rei Sugimoto is climbing on men's 3. And he just caught a glimpse of Sol Sa currently standing underneath women's 3.
You can see Afra, we're talking about the footholds there. Afra's got the right heel hook round on that right hand big fiberglass hold, which made it possible for her to move her hands around. Inevitably in the end, the holds weren't good enough to use. Good body positions though.
There's Ray looking pretty solid. Be interesting to see if that boulder is slightly easier for a taller climber like Ray. Julia Guerra going pretty well on women's 4, but that is a pretty horrible second to last hold. Here goes Ray then, heading out right. It's just hard move after hard move. It's kind of the crux of one boulder followed by the crux of another, that men's 3. And just to let you know, Ray did not make it. There's a top there from Yoshiyuki Ogata. Alex Cazenove here on number 1. Let's have a look at Yoshiyuki. Here goes Alex. Creeping, teetering, and not quite finding a way that time. 2 minutes 45 less for him.
I said it earlier, I think that little foothold that's the zone hold on men's number 1 is a really, really bad foothold. Up close it's even worse. Yeah, it's a terrible foothold. And I think with the dirt built up on these mats, even if you've got the little carpet down there or not, I think that's going to become increasingly more difficult to use that hold. Also, there's a bit of chalk build up in the groove there higher up where the climbers are palming in the corner. It's going to come kind of hot and greasy up there, I think. Temperature's really rising here in the venue as well. Yeah,
the venue really seems to reflect the temperature outside. On Thursday when we had the heavy snow, it was freezing in here. But much warmer today, of course. As I'm looking around, probably close to 1,000 people in here, which will increase the temperature even further. And it's definitely getting warmer by the minute, certainly how it feels. Very much t-shirt conditions even for the spectators in the arena now, so it's pretty warm. Gregor on number 4. I don't think he's going to have done enough. In fact, even if he was to top this, it wouldn't be enough. You already need 2 tops to get into the provisional top 6, let alone the final top 6. So Gregor's not going to make it through, sadly for him.
Emily Phillips gets the stand-up move done on women's number 1 then. Just opting to choose which foot to stand up off. We have seen both methods work. I have to say that move on men's number 4 at the bottom with no footholds is absolutely grim. Just scuffing the feet around trying to get some purchase whilst locking down the crimps.
Hasn't been topped yet, that boulder. We've had 4 climbers get the zone on it.
Emily Phillips just rotated off the foothold there a little bit. As she was standing up, she was looking quite comfortable, just pivoted around the foot. It's Cazenove who's having a bit of a disaster on the slab.
Well, I mean, Jongwon Chon didn't get the slab done, and he's currently sitting in provisional first place, so it is salvageable, but it certainly makes life a lot easier if you can add your name to the list of people who've topped men's number 1. So let's have a look at Julian Guerra. Looking a little more solid this time on number 4, but then just didn't quite decide what to do with the feet. Here's Ray Sugamosa. That'll be his last go on men's 3. Just won't have time for another go. And that remains a boulder that's only been topped once by Jongwon Chon. Gregor throws his hands up in frustration. Not his day. Emily Phillips needs to be quick here. She's got 5 seconds. No matter whatever method she uses, she's going to have to do it quickly. And I think if she had another 10 seconds, she might have found a way there. Just had to rush that last move, and it's really the last thing you want to be doing is rushing there.
Yeah, heartbreaker. She basically didn't have enough time to calculate it, that she needed her left foot out to find that stable position. Bit of a heartbreaker there for Emily.
Jerne Kruder, the 2018 Meiringen winner, the 2018 overall Boulder World Cup winner, gets his 2019 underway. Futaba Ito of Japan, a name who even a couple of years ago wouldn't have been familiar to most climbing fans, and she looked so strong yesterday in the qualifiers. One of the most polite, mild-mannered people you're ever likely to meet. It's very hard to associate the person you talk to this monster. Just crushes World Cup boulders, but she's a real force to be reckoned with. Be interesting to see how it goes for the Olympic selection for Team Japan. You'd have thought Akio Noguchi, you'd have thought Akio Noguchi and Miho Nanaka would be their 2 picks, but Futaba and a couple of others really snapping at their heels.
Well, especially with Miho currently struggling with a few injuries.
Yes, definitely a climber to keep an eye on.
I'm sure Miho will be watching, so best of luck with her recovery.
This is Angie looking very strong on men's 3. Didn't quite decide what to do with the feet. Any indecision on that boulder gets punished because the positions are just so uncomfortable. Futaba, easy as you like. Top for her. Set a top on women's 4. There we go. Yeah, cameraman going up, not down, but it was a top for Shauna on number 4.
The other way.
Yeah.
She was sitting in 4th place there, Shauna, but she'll be heading towards the top of the podium. There is the replay of Shauna on the top.
There it is.
Good show of fitness there for Shauna all through the round. That's the ceiling. That was a nice shot. Nice angle.
It's called a pan away. I'm just not sure it was intentional. So Angie back down on the mat. We only came to him quite late, but he had a pretty decent go. He was on that penultimate hold on men's 3. Here's Kruder, number 1.
See Kruder just trying to wipe his shoes on his legs there. This always seems a sort of slightly desperate situation. Not sure how much dust you can get off your shoes based on rubbing it on your legs, but there's the mat that he will be using. He's obviously really struggling with the friction through the boots here, and on these slabs, any slight gravel under your shoes, you can really feel it when you try and put the force down through your big left toe to stand up on that top move.
That'll be a sight that pleases the local crowd. Petra Klingler leading the way. She's in 1st place right now. I think you're going to need, it would seem you probably need 3 tops to see you through on the women's event at least. And over on the men's 2 plus all the zones may well be enough. That's what the current top 3 have got. There's Katja firing for the top on number 3. Alex Cazenove didn't get number 1 done, so a bit like Jongwon Chon did, he's really got his work cut out on the remaining 3. Vast majority of climbers have got that first slab done on the men's side and the women's.
A lot of them are getting men's number 2 done as well. See,
yeah, Tomoaki Takata gets it done. Here's Angie again, so he's cruising up to this stage. It's a pretty good hold he's going for. Could we see a second top on number 3? We can. The legs fired out to the right. Bit of a heart in the mouth moment, but he brought it home.
Yeah, and a really interesting sort of right hand wrap on that penultimate volume.
And a little fist bump with Katja as he heads off.
Yeah, really needed that little wrap to the right hand. That brought him really close to that finish hold.
Here's Alana Yip. Now, what method will she use?
Sort of the confuser, this boulder, in many ways. Lots of different methods. Some people are opting just to skip all the holds altogether, and some people just really struggling to find the right body positions.
Can't get much closer to the action than that. And yeah, seems slightly caught between a few methods there, Alana. It is such an incredibly short period of time, isn't it? 5 minutes to find your method and execute it. Let's have a look at Yerne. Could have been a bit of a tough start for Yerne had he not got that done, but with 18 seconds to spare, he has found a way. Won't have burned too much energy, not too steep, bit of mental energy, but physically not too hard that first boulder, so he's got plenty left for the battle that remains.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this men's number one because it is a real mental battle as well as a physical battle.
Route setters have seemed to have got it pretty spot on as well, because a lot of the climbers doing it very late. They're needing the 5 minutes to find the exact method and the exact movement. We mentioned her at the top of the show, Julia Shanordi. Look to the Mannerborn here in the Bouldering World Cup. Looked very, very strong in the qualifiers. She's through. Cazenove through as well.
Really working our way through this semi-final now, getting towards the real meat end of the competition. Tops coming thick and fast, and a very spectacular show for us as viewers. A lot of pressure on the competitors to find tops.
Yeah, it was interesting on the men's side, or has been interesting on the men's side. When that first boulder saw a lot of tops early on, we thought we might have a really top-heavy semi-final. It's not actually proved to be the case. It's men's 3 proving a major stumbling block, as is men's 4. Yoshiyuki looking very, very strong on men's 3. Just didn't get the sequence quite right. We said it earlier, but it's really hard to tell just how steep that section of the wall is. If you make a mistake, if you don't get yourself in quite the right position, you're suddenly back on the mats before you really know what's happened. So all 8 climbers still out. No quick tops so far. There's the first one with comic timing, Cazenove. So yeah, there's Julia Shanordi. We don't normally see her in the IFSC World Cups until we roll into the Alps for the beginning of the lead season in July. Rei Sugimoto having a good look at men's 4. That is clearly an absolutely brutal boulder. Not been topped by anyone yet. 4 people have had the zone on it.
Good close-up of women's number one there, Julia Shanordi. Climbers really seem to get across this left-hand side with not too many problems now, and it's just about the feet really in this top section. It's a good look at men's number 4. As Charlie said, no tops on this one yet. It's this move really that's the hard move.
Alex Cazenov's making a pretty good go on men's number 2. Here he is. So solid on that top move. Just needs to avoid those sponsor logos.
Yeah, he looked a little bit unsure there just how to pounce for that top hold, because his right toe was really hooked under that zone hold. In the end, he just had the confidence to jump for it. Solsar really close to the top of this one as well, but it's that right hand where we've seen a lot of climbers peeling off.
Yeah, interesting with Alex. Put himself under pressure by not getting number 1 done. But made amends on number 2. If you can find a top on number 3 or number 4, you feel that may be enough. We shall see.
Yeah, Shanordi's been up here a long time.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to bring sponsors' logos into it, but she could do with keeping her feet well away from them, lest she is accused of using those logos.
Well, she's definitely all over it there. Check the rule book. I think it's okay to drag your feet on them. She's not going to get, obviously didn't get called off the wall for using it.
1 minute and 24 seconds remaining.
It is an absolutely savage round, particularly for the men. The physicality is extraordinary. So still no top on men's number 4. All of the women's boulders have been topped, interestingly enough. They've all been done. As it stands, Alex Johnson, the only climber to have got number 3 done. One minute to go, the buzzer sounds. Here's Solsar, she's on number 4. It's had 3 tops already.
Great angle there, you can really see how steep the wall is and how bad those flat crimps are. I think, Charlie, the number of attempts to your 3 tops could be crucial. So we have a just check on back on men's number 4. Oh, there we go.
Rei Sugimoto, one of the biggest grins in climbing, gets flashed to the Meiringen crowd, and as well it might. Top for Rei on number 4.
Yeah, that's putting himself in a great position. Should put him at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, just waiting for that to come through, but that'll leave Rei with 3 tops. He'll be the first climber with 3 tops on the men's side, and barring a miracle, you'd imagine that will see him into the final. So 5 seconds to go, no time left for Yoshiyuki to have another go. Kokoro Fuji will get his 2019 underway. Ditto Sandra Lettner. Kokoro, winner in Chongqing in 2018. We're off there in 3 weeks' time. Six Boulder World Cups this season. Next weekend we are in the Dynamo area of Moscow City, just north of Red Square, a couple of kilometers north of Red Square, and then we're off to China, Chongqing and Wujiang. Wujiang traditionally a lead venue, but we've got a Boulder World Cup there. And then we've got Munich, normally takes place around August, this year it's in May, and then the season for the Bouldering World Cups culminates in Vail on the second weekend of June. So for Taba, how's she read it? As I say, I think no guarantees just yet that it's going to be Miho Nakio representing Japan at the Olympics, because Futaba is right there. Now then, will she do the method the route setters hoped? I haven't actually seen many climbers really nail that method.
No, it looks like the most successful method at the moment is skipping that hard move and just jumping to the top right-hand edge. Tomoaki, on the other hand, is looking on fine. Vettel here this weekend.
Again, can't get much closer to the action. He's got himself in a reasonably solid position. The problem is, as he brings the left foot across, left hand across, he could do with his feet being on something just to make that handhold slightly better.
How bad that sloper is in the middle. A lot of walls have those, a lot of gyms have those holds now, and just imagine that on a 40-degree overhang, with foothold way out to the right. Anze is also looking good here.
Yeah, safely up to the zone.
And a top for Jerne as well. He's got his 2 tops already. Jerne Kruder looking on 2018 best form. But
this was the venue of his first ever World Cup win. That was last year. Who could possibly have known where that season would lead him? So Futaba's got herself back in position on number 2. I think she's going to try the same method again. She's looking at both holds. Went with the right just ahead of the left this time. It was the other way around earlier on. Yes. I'd say the route setters had in mind that you went pretty much simultaneously.
Yeah, I think you've got to go simultaneously, but it's not just a case of unfolding the arms. It's a case of jumping at the same time, I think. Sandra
Lettner there. A lot of people saying she's a climber to watch in 2019. The results in the youth competition's really improving, and she's really beginning to establish herself as a force in senior events as well. They have churned out 1 or 2 decent climbers, Austria, down the years.
A couple of world champions.
Yeah, they do pretty well. And Sandra's doing pretty well. Chooses not to use the left foot.
Yeah, that was really impressive. Didn't even bother getting the left foot out there. Was so comfortable putting the power down through the right foot.
I wonder if just being that tiny bit shorter, it may just be more comfortable. If you feel good on that right foot, why bother risking stabbing the left out?
Futaba's really not getting on with this next move. Women's number 2. Back on 3.
That was Alana Yip, yeah.
Down in 9th position at the moment with just 1 top.
Katja Kadic is a couple of minutes off finishing her semi-final. She's on number 4. And yeah, 2 tops so far for Katja and 3 zones. So a top on number 4, which has seen quite a few tops, could leave her in a very strong position. It'd be 3 tops and 4 zones if she can find a way. So here's Kokoro Fuji. He's a big bloke, Kokoro. It's a lot of person to fit in that sloping corner. His brother Meichi didn't even make it through to the semi-final, which was one of the shocks for the Japanese team.
Samoa's brother, Meichi.
Sorry, yeah. You're absolutely right. Just to let you know, it was the top for women's too, for Taba Ito.
Really interesting watching the climbers trying to decide what to do with that right hand. The wall really slopes away from them, and there's a big chalk build-up. It's really hard to actually get anything out of it. So he's trying to use a bit of forearm skin that time. It's desperate to watch. Just couldn't get anything out of the hand. Opted for just a sweaty forearm, pushing against the wall instead.
That was for Taba Ito's top on number 2. And yes, you're absolutely right, Mike. Meichi Narasaki is Tomoa Narasaki's brother, not Kokoro Fuji's brother. There's definitely a clue I missed there somewhere. Would have given that one away, yeah. Apologies there. But yeah, Meichi didn't get through. Meichi Narasaki had a really good 2018 Youth World Champion in Moscow in August last year, but couldn't find a way into the semi-finals. Now, there's a shift in mood here in Meiringen because Adam Ondra has just made his way out onto the stage. Fanny Gibert as well, she's got underway on women's 1. Mike, there's no point denying there is a change in atmosphere when Adam comes to a World Cup. It feels different.
Well, I mean, I don't want to sort of dwell on it too much, but he is, possibly one of the greatest climbers of all time. Double world champion. He's won a lot, even though he doesn't compete a lot. He's obviously climbed a lot outside and done very, very well. And like you say, the crowd just is in anticipation when these big names come out.
Yeah, I think probably not the most controversial statement in the world to say Adam's the best all-round rock climber in the world. And yeah, the event organisers are quite open about the fact they were delighted he came because it changes the nature of the event. They get higher attendance, they get more media interest, it changes everything. And really good to see him back in the bouldering World Cups. So here's Afra Hernig. We haven't actually seen that much of her as she's passed through this semi-final round, but looking pretty handy on women's 4. Very solid on the crimp. Didn't even readjust, just straight on it. And that's a nice top for her. I just paused for a second, the feet cut loose at the crucial moment, but she rescued it.
Yeah, that was impressive actually. That put her up into the top 6 for now. But she's obviously very strong on the crimp. She's hit that right hand with such force.
All France over on the right, Julia Chanaudy and Fanny Gibert. Their men had a disastrous day. No Albon Levier, no Manuel Cornu, no Mikael Marwem through to semi-finals, all knocked out in the qualifiers yesterday. Here's Adam on men's 1. He is a tall climber, so that hold looks a lot closer for him than it has for some others.
He originally just tried to creep up to that left red screw on, but in the end just put the force through the left foot and there's no issues whatsoever standing up. Adam Ondra is going to really enjoy this tour, I think, assuming he gets through this little 1-2 flick on men's number 2. He said in the qualifiers that he really enjoyed the sort of more old school style, no circus tricks out there today, some good hard cranking.
Fanny Gibert is no longer on the stage, so one would assume that she's got a top on women's 1.
Well, Fanny traditionally been superb on the slab, so it's no real surprise there, and I think she's a real pick this weekend to be on the podium at least.
Yeah, 3rd overall in 2018, made the final in Meiringen as well. Yeah, that men's 2 that we're just about to see, it's not really a parkour style boulder, just a bit of coordination. You'd imagine it won't trouble Adam too much.
But what we're seeing with these moves now, we're going to come back to that conversation. We're looking close to another top. That was Yoshiyuki, I think, at the top there.
Oh my word, what's he got in that bag?
He's brought his entire luggage with him.
Maybe if he doesn't qualify, just go straight to the airport, off the mats, going home. So, Alex Cazenove, he's got plenty of horsepower, Alex. This is a boulder that if he finds the sequence, you'd have thought he might enjoy. You can see just how strong he is. He looks so solid when those hands land, but it's not just a case of being strong. You've got to read it absolutely correctly, and just a couple of readjustments cost him there. This is Julia Chanaudy. So she's got the hand cross. And that's exactly the method the route setters want the climbers to use, but as you said, Mike, it's not been the most successful method. Just not getting involved at all with that move seems to be the best way of doing it. Top there from Keita Dohi.
Yeah, another top. The action in semi-finals here comes so thick and fast, we barely get a chance to get into the subtleties of the competition. Well, what I was about to say is, talking about circus moves, parkour moves, we've seen all the different things come out the route setters trick book over the last few years, and this round is very different with lots of just classic bit of powerful stuff. And in the qualifiers, if there was a more dynamic move, it was generally traditionally to do with the hands rather than the legs. So no running around, no popping and jumping, it was just powerful flicks between the hands in a timing fashion rather than a circus fashion. That's good to see. I think the competitors like to see that back on the scene as well.
Here's Emily Phillips, no relation of Nathan, who'll climb a bit later on. Again, claiming the zone on number 3. Been quite a few climbers climbing the zone, not that many turning it into a top. Julia Shanodi again trying the original method, somewhat frustrated figure as she heads off. Alex Cazenove in a race against time here with 10 seconds to go. Couldn't find a way on the slab. If he can't find a way on number 3, he could be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, that men's number 3. We've really got to sink really low on that sloper, really sort of getting the legs wrapped around that big red blob and the undercut toe hook on the left volume as much as possible. Slopers that bad, you've really got to be hanging right underneath them.
Well, only Rei Sugimoto has done men's 4, so Alex needs to find something very, very special. Now, Tomoe Narasaki and Akio Noguchi are out on the wall.
5 Japanese on the wall at the moment. Alana Yip and Yone Kruder, Sandra Lettner in between them.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, 7 Japanese men, 2 Japanese women. So it's some indication of the strength of their team when 9 of the 40 athletes belong to them, and it still doesn't seem like a great day. Tomoe with that dynamic style just needs to shut it down ever so slightly for most of this slab. I wonder if we might see him pop for the top from this position. He's a bit shorter than his compatriot Kokoro over to the right, so it might feel quite a long way to that top hold. Oh, there you go, as smooth as you like.
Yeah, we were saying, I wonder if that foothold will deteriorate over the round, but I think Tomoe and Adam Undra have just proved there that it's not that bad after all.
Top for Kokoro Fuji on number 2. He's had a good start. So are we going to see anybody do all 4 boulders on either side? We haven't yet. Rei Sugimoto with 3 tops. Still the only climber on the men's side with 3 tops. Yone Kruder topped both of the first 2. He's now underneath the absolutely brutal men's 3. And Akio Noguchi, yesterday in the qualifiers, she was interesting to watch, Mike. She didn't seem to always find the easiest method of doing everything.
No, but she
did it.
But she did the boulders in a really hard method really easily. Figure that one out. She was basically so strong she didn't need to do it the proper way. And she just behind her in the high street as we were walking away from the venue very swiftly, seemingly after she started her tour. Absolutely dominated the boulders yesterday.
Here's Futaba Ito about to climb out of shot, somewhat frustratingly, and even more frustratingly not able to hang on to the top hold.
Keo just finding the method here a little bit. Women's number 1 is really crucial to get done now, I think, and the climbers we're seeing take a lot of time to get through it.
I'm just having a quick run through having a quick look at the scores. The top 3 as it stands over on the women's side all got 3 tops. Petra Klingler, Shauna Coxey and Oceana McKenzie. Got to be good three good stories in the final, if you like.
Kia really taking her time on this boulder, as I just said. Just making sure she doesn't make any mistakes, doesn't peel off any of the footholds. Just searching all around the volumes for the right spot. This is where we've seen people either foot swap or the big step through with the left. In the end, Akio makes no mistake, commits to it. So many years of experience, nobody was going to be making her fall off up there.
9 years she's been on the overall podium for a season. The evergreen Akio Noguchi. Alana Yip is just coming to the end of her rotation. Tomoaki ditto on the men's side. Sandra Lettner is on women's 2, and there's Futaba Ito on number 3. I mentioned Alana a second ago. Here she is on women's 4. Eyeing up that pretty hopeless crimp for the right hand. And Futaba looked very solid up until here. on women's 3. Still only had the one top from Alex Johnson. Top there for Sandra Lettner on number 2. Now Kruder could put himself in such a strong position if he can find a way on number 3, but with just a minute to go, it's a tall order.
This competition is really wide open still at the moment. 3 tops, 4 zones in the women's to get you through at the moment. Right at the top of the pile in the women's. 3 tops also in the men's of Ray Sugimoto. First place currently. Lots of people on 2 tops though, so this is still all to be played for.
That was so 20 or so minutes to go until the first boulders are done altogether. This semi-final disappearing before our eyes. Alana Yip, another go. She's got 15 seconds. She got this left hand on her previous go, and it was this next move that stopped her. You can see she was going for the top. Admire the ambition, but it's an awful long way to the top from there. So that'll end up being 1 top and 3 and 4 zones, for Alana. That's not going to be enough, sadly, for the final. You're going to need a minimum of 2 tops to get in. All-America now on the stage. Kyra Conley and Nathaniel Coleman. Kyra absolutely crushed the qualifiers yesterday.
Yeah, that style that she's got, so bouncy, so energetic. She had lots of attempts to get her boulders done, but she looked savagely strong on every single one of them. Big support, Team USA down the front as well. It's always good to hear the cheers from those noisiest crowd members, I would say. That's what we want. Let's see what Kyra can make of this semi-final tour. As we said, it's still wide open.
Yeah, be a good decibel battle between them and the Italians.
Yeah. Chuck a bit of Gamba Gamba from Team Japan in there as well, and we got ourselves a good atmosphere.
Nathaniel Coleman, an interesting climber to see. One of those that looked as if he was the next star in climbing. Then he drifted away slightly, and he seems to be very firmly back.
Yeah, he's traditionally done really well in the comps in the USA. Has done previously very well on the World Cup circuit for the IFSC. Sometimes can be a bit hit and miss, like you say, but it was certainly hit yesterday.
Fanny Gibert got number 1 done so quickly. It feels like a long time since we saw her. She's actually still only on number 2.
Oh, such good route reading there. That method that we've seen fail time and time again with the hands crossed. She just skipped it altogether and managed to keep her foot down right. Fanny Gibert is looking awesome here this weekend.
Yeah, made the final last year. 3rd overall for the season as well. And she has brought that form with her into 2019. Keita Dohi there on number 3. Creeping out right. Coming towards our camera. Getting to this blue volume doesn't seem to have stopped many climbers. Establishing yourself on it with both hands and then moving from it is one of the real cruxes of what is a very hard boulder.
That's a classic bit of route setting of bad hands, good foot. If you can't hold the hand hold, just make the foothold bigger and bigger and bigger until you can hold it. I think that's the biggest foothold of them all. And the superstar who's out there at the moment, Adam Ondra, looks like he's got the dyno done on men's number 2. And looking at numbers 3 and 4, should be a very happy man later on.
So no messing about for Adam. Given how physical this round is, that extra 2.5 minutes rest could come in very handy as well.
Kyra's one of those climbers, like I said, she climbs with such energy that sometimes it may be hard for her just to dial down a little bit and just kind of slow it down. Climb with maximum control, keep the breathing slow, and slabs can sometimes highlight those weaknesses.
So Petra Klingler sitting very pretty at the top of the standings right now. 3 tops and 4 zones. Ray Sugimoto looking pretty handy on the men's side as well. So Alexei Rubtsov and Jongwon Chon with just 2 tops. Ditto Yoshiyuki Agata and Taisei Ishimatsu and Tomoaki Takata. So Ray, the only person with 3 tops. We haven't got anyone with 4 tops on either side yet.
Excellent round of route setting so far. Sort of the right number of tops. We thought early on that it could be a bit of a top fest.
Yeah, the route setters seem to have got the level pretty right. I mean, we've had more tops than we sometimes see in the semi-final, but nobody got all of them yet. So that seems, and they've all been tops. So that seems a pretty good level to me.
Yeah, they're putting on a good show at the same time. There's a big crowd in here. People want to see tops. Don't want to see too many, but just enough to keep everybody entertained. Kyra Kondo is looking for one of those tops with just over a minute left. This time she gets to stand up. She's got to dial it down now for this top move. Nice and controlled.
Got a minute left, so it doesn't work out. She'll probably have time for another go, but she won't need it. She will instead have an extra 50 seconds of rest. So good work from her. And said she'd had a pretty productive winter of training up in Minneapolis. Said they'd had a pretty savage winter, so there's nothing like a freezing cold winter to drive you inside and keep you training rather than outside doing something else, and it seems to have paid off for Kyra. Emily Phillips there on number 4, and Julia Chanardi on number 3. Alex Cazenove could do with at least a zone here. Let's have a look where he is in the standings right now. This would be his second top. He'd have 2 tops and 4 zones, which may not, depending on attempts, be enough, but as it is, he's not going to find a top on number 4. So Alex, sadly for him, is not going to make it through to the final.
On to the final rotation of this semi-final then. Janja Garnbret and Nathan Phillips come out. Nathan, the only climber to get 5 flashes in the men's, and Janja, the only climber in the women's to get 5 tops.
Nathan's an interesting climber, isn't he? He's a climber who's capable of an amazing round, but it doesn't feel like he's ever really put a competition together where it's been round after round where he's climbed equally strongly.
Yeah, I think in the IFSC history he's always done quite well in the qualifiers, struggled to convert that in the semi-finals. Having said that, he did win the Quiff International Climbing Works comp earlier on this winter, so he is capable of winning against an international field. And interestingly, he was the only guy to top a slab on that one that won in the competition. So I would be very surprised if he doesn't get on with men's number 1. On the other hand, Janja Garnbret rarely falls off anything really of note. Let's see how she gets on with this tour. Will we see the first climber to get 4 tops?
Yeah, although she's actually only started competing in 2015, needs very little introduction, Janja Garnbret. Tomoe Narasaki wasn't on stage long and got the job done. So I think Janja being quite clever here, she's probably well aware that attempts could be crucial. It took a long time to decide how to do that move. And top there for Kyo Noguchi on number 2. Let's stay with Janja for now. Again, she's really taking her time on this, does not want to waste any effort. Doesn't want to waste any attempts. Heads out right. Now if she can get the stab through with the foot. She could do chucking the left foot out. Doesn't need to. Top for Janja Garnbret. Said that once or twice. I think I may be saying it a few more times this season. This was Akio on number 2. Full of confidence. Janja carrying a very minor ankle injury. She sprained her ankle slightly about 3 weeks ago, so when she jumps off she's tending to kind of flop down onto the mat rather than land and stand back up. So if you see her take some fairly heavy landings, they may well be intentional. You might just have seen it as she came off the slab there, kind of sat down to land. She's trying to protect that ankle. I don't think it's a serious injury, it's just not something you want to jump on repeatedly.
No, but as we said, with this season is most important of all time for a lot of these climbers, and it's very, very long, and the seasons aren't usually this long, through April all the way through to November. And yeah, the climbers' bodies, they've only got one body and they've got to keep it in good shape somehow for that many competitions.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the big saving grace for Janja is she doesn't fall off very often, so it doesn't take too many landings.
Interestingly, this wall is actually quite high here. It peaks at 5 meters actually, so a lot of the holds will be brought down to 4.5, the allowable maximum height for a finishing hold. But you definitely get some wind past your ears as you drop off to the top floor.
Yeah, we were putting some wall-mounted cameras up there, which have seen some use today. Yesterday, I wouldn't fancy jumping off the top, good ankle or not. So Sandra Lettner on the number 3. Pretty handy on the first two. Got them both done. So interestingly, Mike, nobody yet has topped all of the first three boulders over on the women's side. They've all been topped, but nobody's got all three of them, let alone all four. So here's Kokoro on number 3. What's your reading for a taller climber like him? This kind of boulder slightly tougher maybe?
Well, it may help him just to get that right foot out, but then you've got to really get underneath this big slopey blue holding. See his legs being a little bit longer there just helps him toe hook underneath, but I think it's brutal for everybody, to be honest. It's only just seen 2 tops, that one between Chon and Anze.
Nathan brushing, yeah, we said earlier, as you said, he won the quiff earlier on in the year, but in the IFSC World Cup it feels like he's never quite put that full comp together where he's really shown what he's capable of.
Well, he's in a bit of trouble here as well.
He needs to get this number 1 done. A lot of encouragement for Yerne Kruder, that's a zone for him.
He needs this as well.
He really does need this on number 4.
20 seconds left, he's giving this everything he's got. He's in full panic mode here at the moment, Yerne.
Still only been topped by Rei Sugimoto, and it is going to stay that way. And that is not going to be enough for Yerne to get him through. So Nathan is going to run out of time. He'll at least take a zone away or get something for his efforts.
I think Nathan's going to be bitterly disappointed with that, and you do wonder what it is with Nathan, how he gets to be the only climber to flash all 5 in the qualifiers. Was very, very good compared to the rest of the field, and yet come out and can't climb the slab that he's notoriously good at, and struggles against some people who've really found that top quite easily.
So that's us done with the slabs. From here on it's steep, steep, steep. Adam Ondra is back out on the stage, top for him on the first 2 boulders. Rei Sugimoto got this one done, number 3. Can Adam do it as well? Kyra Conley's out onto number 2. Relatively straightforward top for her on number 1 after a couple of false starts.
Quick prediction that will most probably be wrong, but I reckon Adam Ondra is going to get 4 tops here.
Heard it here first. Oh, why not? I'll go with you.
Bit of fun.
Fanny Gibert's climbing on number 3 and look exceptionally strong. Kyra's over there on number 2.
Yeah, Fanny Gibert, if the predictions in the women's, she could definitely be one who could find 4 tops. Kyra Kandi looks like she's going to find a quick top here again on women's number 2. Women's competition really coming down to boulders number 3 and 4. Adam Ondra's got himself really nicely over to the right hand side, but just has a hand slip as Kyra finds her top. Good whoops and screams from the crowd.
Yes, nice start from Kyra. She looked really, really strong in the qualifiers. It would surprise nobody if she was to make the final here. Nathaniel Coleman just not quite found the method on that jump on number 2. Keita Dohi, another good all-rounder from Team Japan. 2 French ladies, Julia and Fanny, climbing next to each other pretty much in the middle of the stage. You can see Fanny just studying women's 3. Julia Shanodi fully engaged on number 4. There she is. I mentioned it earlier, but the French men really disappointing yesterday.
Just in the background, there he is. Nathaniel Coleman sticks to 1-2. Just keep an eye on the toes there. Just left foot just drops into a toe hook to help him just stabilise on the right hand. That's the nice toe hook method that we've seen multiple times, and great flexibility just to bring the left foot outside of the left arm. No issues in the end.
Yeah, good start to him for this semi-final. Didn't get anything on number 1.
Ondra having to work really hard here. He's already had a slip right at the top of this boulder. Another slip at the bottom there. Fitness is going to be crucial here, and if anybody's got any fitness on these boulders, it's going to be Adamondra. Let's see if he can get this body position right then. Check out that left toe hook underneath. This is much better.
This looks promising from Adamondra. The top beckons. Can he find a way of matching that white volume? Could he skip straight through? It's a reasonably good hold he's going for. He's matched the white hold, and he's found the second top of men's 3. Adamondra, a big statement of intent. 1 minute 30 left on his rotation. He's got 3 tops in the first 3 boulders. Mike, your prediction may well be safe.
Well, we'll see, but men's number 4 is absolutely brutal. Only just a few tops of that one. Focusing back, it's France side by side here. Finals place is up for grabs. The atmosphere is electric in here in Meiringen.
Near miss on number 4 there for Cater. There's Julia on the left, Fanny on the right. And that move, slap up to the crimp with the right hand, just proving problematic for Julia. Fanny pinching hard on those 2 holds, setting up for the top, and got a really good hand on the top, but couldn't quite bring it home. Almost went with a bit too much momentum, it seemed.
Shauna's top on women's number 4, currently in the women's competition, looking vitally important. She's currently up there in 2nd place. Oceana McKenzie, Alex Johnson, they're going to be one of the ones who are getting very nervous. Team Australia just down underneath our commentary position. They're kind of very, very happy at the moment, but nervously waiting. Oceana's actually can't even look.
It's a bit too early to call it. I think she may have done enough, Oceana, but as you said, Mike, she'll have a bit of a nervous wait. So, just looking across the stage, Nathan Phillips, Sandra Lettner, Kiyo Noguchi, Tomoe Narasaki, Yanya Gambret and Kokoro Fuji are on the stage. It's one of the few venues she's never won at, Yanya. I think most people have got her down as favourite in the women's competition. Probably won't come as a surprise to anyone who's watched us for the last few years. Getting stuck straight into number 2. Now, what method will she use? I think she might just skip the hold palaver out. I know she's reading it, how the route set is intended. Now, will she go for the snap? It'll look pretty impressive, pretty spectacular if she can. Here she goes. Whack, no problem at all for Yanya. Textbook method, just how the route setters wanted it done, and then brings it home easily from there.
Well, the difference between Yanya and some of the other female athletes who struggled on that move, she put her left foot up to the zone that gave her the height. As soon as she unwound those hands, she had the height. Arms hit the holes, slightly bent, and controlled it. Tomoe just can't repeat Adamondra's feet on men's number 3, but Akiyo looking very stable indeed. So strong.
Top for Akiyo Noguchi. That's 3 tops on 3 boulders for her. She flashed both of the first 2. We weren't watching her closely throughout that one. I'm not sure if it was a top. We'll let you know as soon as the scores come through. Nathan Phillips having a look now at number 2 on the men's side, and Sandra Lettner finishing her rotation over on women's 4. This is live. This is Kokoro on number 4. That was a flash, by the way, for Akiyo Noguchi. So 3 boulders, 3 flashes for Akiyo. I said Yanya was the favourite. She's going to have to work for it if she wants this one in Meiringen.
Ray Sakamoto, the only one to find a top on this one. Kokoro looks like he's going to join him. Gets it done. The favourites in this men's competition really not disappointing at the moment.
Yeah, interesting. Kokoro, 2 tops for him so far. So here's Nathan Phillips, 2 minutes 20 to get his semi-final back on track after not getting the slab done.
Trying to slow down that first move. He's actually finding that the yellow volume's pretty decent, but ultimately that's not helping him progress down to the zone. Because you can't control that with one hand, so he does need to flick it 1-2.
2 minutes remaining now for these athletes.
Just under 2 minutes remaining on this rotation. That was Sandra Lettner we saw there. Tomoe Narasaki's still out on the stage looking at men's number 3. Shaking out. I think Tomoe is going to take quite a long rest and then maybe just give that one full gas with about 40 seconds to go. We'll see.
Nathan Phillips currently trying to do that off of a left heel that's fortunately holding him back a little bit. Nathan struggling here in the semi-final round so far.
Slightly frustrated figure of Sandra Lettner. She's got time for another go, probably 2. So here goes Tomoe lining it up. He safely up to that blue hold. Matching that has proved so problematic for so many climbers. Once Adam Ondra latched that, he looked relatively solid.
Yeah, that body position, getting those feet really wrapped around that cluster of big footholds was so crucial. Sandra Lettner gets that bottom move done. 44 seconds and she needs something here.
I think fatigue possibly kicking in there. It's been a particularly savage semi-final round and you don't get a lot of rest.
Yeah, Nathan trying each time with the left heel here, trying to go quite slowly between the two. Sort of more powerful method we've seen, just 1-2 yellow down to the zone has been more successful. That's the more successful method, but you can see why he's trying something different because he's struggling with that method. Sandra straight in for another go. Surely she's not got any gas left.
Yeah, she seemed like she was struggling with that lower move, which hasn't looked too problematic for some of the climbers. It's interesting how sometimes a climber just doesn't get on with one specific part of a boulder. And Sandra was just struggling with that lower section. Looked like she burned a lot of energy. So Adam Ondra, Nathaniel Coleman, Kyra Condi and Fanny Gibert now out on the stage.
Nathan Phillips can't progress to the finals now, unfortunately, just looking at the scores, because he struggled to find zones on men's number 2. 2 tops 4 zones at the moment. Gets you through.
So Fanny Gibert's on number 4. So she's the 4th to last climber, which means that our top 2 climbers in the rankings already know they'll be in the final. That's Petra Klingler and Shauna Coxey. Good stories both. We've got the local hero in Petra and the returning hero in Shauna, the 2-time Meiringen winner. So they'll both be going through to the final. Fanny Gibert, Kyra Condi, Kia Noguchi and Yanya Garmbret still not completed their rotations and gunning for a place to join them. Here is Fanny. No problem up to the zone. A lot of people have been very impressed by her climbing recently, and she looked fantastic in the qualifiers yesterday, and she looked pretty handy here in the semi-final as well. There's the top beckoning. She needs to sort the feet out. There it is for Fanny Gibert. Top for her on number 4. That's going to be enough to get her through.
Good show from Fanny. Really interestingly, we didn't see it on that, but Kyra Condi right next to her, you can see her on the left. She stood there the entire time just watching Fanny's effort. See, there is isolation in theory between the goes, and when they come out it's supposed to be the first time they see the boulders, but realistically if someone's climbing right next to you, you can see what the other climber's doing. She just stood there and watched. So good tactics there from Kyra.
Yeah, there's only so much the organisers and the officials can do to stop that.
Yeah, you're not going to put up a screen between each boulder or put a blindfold on when they're resting, so yeah, why not?
All part of the game. So here goes Adam on number 4.
Being so big, it's really, really hard for him to get his heel up there for Adam.
Adam is going to qualify for the final, just to let you know. But what a statement it would be if he could find 4 tops. He's already done the absolutely savage number 3.
Superb flexibility through the hips there for Ondra. Could it be a 4 tops?
Yeah, there is the top hold beckoning. There's his left hand on it, and there's his right. Adam Ondra, 4 tops for him. Mike, you called it.
Yeah, he is the best climber in the world, so if anybody was going to get 4 tops, it was an easy bet. I'll take it though.
Now your crystal ball seems to be working well. could just let me know next week's lottery numbers, that'd be much appreciated. So here is Kyra on number 3. So strong. Had a really good winter of training, she said. I mentioned it earlier, safely up to the zone. Could be crucial. Not seen a lot of traffic this top half of women's 3. Still just one top on this boulder. That was her compatriot Alex Johnson who flashed it. Nobody else has topped it. Alex Johnson still sitting there in 6th place. Sorry, Akiyo Noguchi got it done as well. It was Akiyo who flashed it and Alex Johnson who got it on 3rd go. My apologies, but yeah, Alex still sitting in 6th place. Fear she may struggle to hang on to that. And you said earlier, Micah, Oceana got a bit of a nervous wait. Only going to get more nervous as time goes by. 5th place as it stands.
Yeah, Yanya and Kaya are the two who could upset that.
Yeah, Fanny Gibert, Petra Klingler and Shauna Cox here all safely through.
Kara's walking off the mats as well. No top for her on 3.
Yeah, you said it earlier. She's walked off with 40 seconds to go. You said how closely she was watching Fanny Gibert. I wonder if she had a couple of looks at number 3 and thought, you know what, I'm going to save my energy for that number 4.
Potentially, yeah. It could be very wise climbing that with Alex Johnson, who's got 2 tops, who's currently sitting in that 6th place. Does take you 3 tops, really, to find a finals place. Obviously, 4 would get you through, but you can't do that now.
Yeah, there's the crowd here in the Boulder Arena in Meiringen. We're up at the northern end of the village. Mikhail Marwem makes his way past the camera. Not a good day for him at all yesterday. Ditto Manuel Cornu, who was the big entertainer in last year's final. One of many. It was a fantastic final last year. Putting a pressure on the route setters to find something equal this year. Nathan Phillips back out. Ditto Yanya Garmret, and then Akiyo Noguchi and Tomoa Narasaki at opposite ends of the bouldering wall. Tomoa on the right over there, and you can see Akiyo with the red cloth in her hair over on the left. So Akiyo's flashed all of the 3 boulders she's attempted so far, and this 4th boulder, it's been done 4 times by 4 climbers, 5 times, and 4 of them were flashes. Yanya Garmbret gets her attempt on number 3 underway. Had 2 tops, one of them by Akiyo Noguchi, who's now on number 4. Nathan Phillips now engaged in the absolutely savage number 3.
2 very strong climbers on the wall side by side here at the moment. Akiyo Noguchi looking the strongest athlete we've seen on this round so far. Let's see how she gets on with this next right-hand crimp move. Hits it. She's standing right on the top of a dual texture hold. Yanya Garmbret's fallen off as well. It's good to see these strong women challenged here, actually. Tomoa looks like he's going to find a top as well.
And number 4, they've been very few and far between. Tomoa finds one. Yeah, Akiyo, she's actually fallen off a boulder at last in this semi-final. Flashed the first 3. I think she'll get that one done though.
Yeah, when the attempt that she had there, she stood right on the top of a dual texture hold with her right foot. We've seen some successful methods heel hooking that hold instead of trying to smear on top of it. Nathan Phillips having a semi-final round to forget here at the moment.
Yeah, Akiyo Noguchi, by the way, already through to the final with those 3 tops. She is in 4th place, even if she got knocked down by the 2 people climbing after her, Kyra Conley and Yanya Garmbret. The worst she can end up is 6th, so she's safely through. Is very unlikely to be aware of that, and probably wouldn't care anyway. She'd like to get through with 4 tops. Here's Nathan. He's got to keep his head in the game here, and just see what he can find on these last couple of boulders.
Yeah, he may not be able to get through to a place in the finals, but ranking points are always up for grabs as well. Looking for the overall for later on the end of the year. There we go for Akiyo. Hits it right hand, doesn't stand on the dual texture this time, just stands on the volume itself and finishes it off with no issues.
So Akio Noguchi becomes the first climber on either the men's or the women's side with, first on the women's side with 4 tops. Adamondra over on the men's side, but Akio Noguchi 4 tops for her on 4 boulders. Safely through to the final.
Janja Garnbret 100% more control on that move this time.
And she keeps up her perfect record on the boulders so far, 3 boulders, 3 tops. And as I said earlier, that minor injury, she just flops down as she lands. So where does that leave us?
Yeah, that pushes Alex Johnson out of the finals, unfortunately. Her dream comeback to competition climbing doesn't end up in a finals place.
Leaves Nathan on his own on the stage. 1 minute 20 to go. Only seen a couple of tops, men's 3. The new British top, the purple of the last couple of seasons, has gone and been replaced by this very fetching white, red and blue number. He's got a minute left.
See with Nathan, he's always trying to dial his fingers into the screw holes, and on that right hand, it has worked for him that time. He's just got his index finger in a screw hole. One of the only climbers to use that as a method. Fighting so hard here, Nathan. Unfortunately, the really hard bit's higher up.
He's safely got the zone. He's got time to top the boulder, provided he's got the strength and the method. He won't have time for another go though, so this is it for Nathan Phillips. This is the one. He's got the right hand, needs to bring the left over to join it. But as we've seen with quite a few climbers, he's just shuffling the feet around. You make one miscalculation and it's over.
Yeah, it's good to hear the local MC here got the crowd going for Nathan because he was the only climber left on the mats. Keeps the atmosphere rolling. A superb semi-final round so far, thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, it feels like the route setters have got the level pretty spot on.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased for them. They were tweaking these boulders right up to the very last minute. Fantastically experienced team here. Lauren Laporte, Manu Hasler, Jamie Cassidy, and the American chap whose name has just eluded me.
Garrett.
That's the one, sorry Garrett.
Yeah, they've had a hard week, that's for sure.
Yeah, been here for nearly a week now, route setting here.
Setting on Sunday, I think. Yeah. So 5 full setting days, and then the qualifying day, and then today. So it doesn't let up much for the route setters. Always said it's the toughest job in climbing. Nathaniel Coleman now, the latest to try his luck on men's 4. He is the penultimate climber. Only Nathan Phillips still to come on that one. So we got number 2 done, Nathaniel Coleman. What can he find on number 4?
Yeah, unfortunately he didn't find the zone on the slab, so he's really going to struggle to get himself into the finals. 2 tops and 4 zones gets you there at the moment in the men's competition.
Over on the women's side, Kyra Condi, she could get herself up into the final if she was to find a top here on number 4, at the expense of Oceana McKenzie, who we said has had a rather nervous wait, and it will only be getting more nervous for the remaining 3 minutes and 25 seconds. After Kyra, we've only got Janja Garnbret, who's already in the top 6 and already going into the finals. So this is for the last of the final spots. 6 men and 6 women going through to the final. Myself, Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley alongside me. We'll be live at 7 p.m. Meiringen time with that. 3 minutes for these climbers to find something. It's all USA on the stage right now. And we've got just under 8 minutes of what's been a superb first semi-final of 2019 remaining.
Kyra's got one of the biggest fights of her career in front of her here over the next 2.5 minutes. That traditional fast pacey style that she climbs with just zipped off that time, just suffering with the skin potentially. Big 2 minutes here for Kyra Condi.
I mean, in this situation, you don't really have any choice but to just give it everything you've got. But by the same token, if you do get then through to the final and you've absolutely shredded yourself, it could cause you problems down the line. But there's not really space for thinking like that. You just got to go for it.
No, sometimes there is space for thinking like that if you're already, you're very, very happy with your performance and you're just sort of bruising through the last boulder or just giving up on it.
Well, we saw that with Janja in the World Championship last year. She knew she'd won when she came out to the last boulder.
But sometimes you just got to go hell for leather and then in the finals worry about the skin at that stage in the game. It does happen a lot, happen big time at the Studio Block Masters. People really struggling with their skin in the finals due to the brutal nature of the qualifiers in the semi-final round there. Not too many jumps in this round though, so the skin should be much better on the hands of these athletes. This is it then for Kyra, 1 minute 30. Surely strong enough to do this boulder. Really snappy style between the feet. Big moment here in the semi-finals, right at the death here for Kyra Condi. All about this next hold. She might have something left.
Yeah, it's hard to know how many more attempts she'll have. Do you think it'll just be hang around and have one really good go at the end?
If she uses her experience, you would have thought she would run this clock down to about 30 seconds and then pull on.
Just clarifying something with I think the judges are just checking if there's any blood coming out of her hands. They seem happy enough.
She's going to run out of time. It's a total disaster here for Kyra. If there's any blood showing, she has to present it to the judge and then show that there's no further blood showing after she puts the tape on. This is a really, really high pressure taping here for Kyra.
This is not what you want. I was going to say about 30 seconds as well, and that's come and gone.
That's not going to help on those crimps either.
It's not going to help either. Mentally, you've got to suddenly switch on in the 2 meters you walk from where you did your taping to the boulder. If ever she needs that springy style, it's now. 14 seconds to go. She's in a race against time, and she is not going to win it, sadly for her, Kyra Condi. So our women's final is decided, and so is our men's. Nathan Phillips and Janja Garnbret come out for the final rotation. We'll talk about the final in just a second.
Just to clarify for anybody who's interested at home, the situation with bleeding, you cannot bleed and pull onto the wall. If you are bleeding, you can tape up, but then you have to show the judge effectively that there's no tape going through your fingers at the moment you pull on. Slightly funny rule because as soon as you pull on, the blood comes through the tape, but that's the best they can do in that situation, the judges. But bleeding all over the holds is not allowed.
No, but checking halfway up the bowl is also a bit harsh as well, especially on something like men's 3. So Nathan, sadly for him, he's not going to make the final. Janja Garnbret is. Nathan may be struggling with his skin a bit. Just look at his fingertips.
Yeah, Nathan Phillips, the king of qualifiers, yet to translate that again here, unfortunately. Can't match that finals from the World Championships in Innsbruck. Janja Garnbret. Could have been no real surprises here. 4 tops. Joins Akio in the 4-top club.
Yeah, let's just double check the number of attempts. It took Akio 2 goes to do that last one.
It's massively exciting, the fact that Akio and Janja are looking on fine form. Are going to go head to head later on tonight. The next 6 hours are going to be a nervous wait for us. Can't wait for that to start. It's going to be great.
So 3 minutes 30. Nathan Phillips, one of the stars of yesterday's qualifying, the only climber left in the semi-final. And we've got both our finals confirmed. Over on the women's side, Akio Noguchi, Fanny Gibert, Petra Klingler, Shauna Coxey, Janja Garnbret and Oceana McKenzie makes it in 6th place. Kyra Condi could not displace her, so Australia have a World Cup finalist. Over on the men's side, it's going to be Adam Ondra, Tomoa Narasaki, Rei Sugimoto, Kokora Fuji, Jongwon Chon and Tomoaki Takata. Wow. 7 o'clock for that one, Meiringen time. Nathan again getting plenty of encouragement. Certainly not giving up, fighting as hard as if the round had just begun. Crowd getting right behind him. This is the last action of the semi-final, but no one's leaving. They're all staying to cheer on Nathan Phillips.
This is where we saw Adamondra in the big wide splits. Unfortunately, from that position, that left hand's just a bit too bad for Nathan.
So 2 minutes to go for Nathan. Our clock's just disappeared. Come back in a second. I'm sure about 2 minutes to go. Sadly for him, this isn't really counting for anything other than ranking points. Place in the final gone now. He's definitely going for another attempt though.
Yeah, going in for the liquid chalk here. I'd say the temperature has definitely ramped up throughout the afternoon.
It feels to me as if it peaked midway through the semi-final. Could just be my imagination, but that was certainly the way it felt.
Yeah, ultimately I don't think it's actually affected the competition that much. We've seen climbers such as Adamondra coming out later on in the round and just cruising up the boulders really. So it's not had a huge impact on the actual round itself. Certainly didn't affect Akio and Yanya, only 2 females to go away with those 4 tops.
So Nathan goes again. Just seen Jamie Cassidy, the chief route setter, here in the middle of the crowd in Meiringen, and I think he'll be reasonably happy with their morning's work.
Absolutely.
I think they got the level pretty right. I wouldn't be surprised if they cranked it up slightly for the finals. We shall see. So Nathan pulls back on. How much has he got left? He was on that boulder for a long time.
In some ways, I think this is actually really good for Nathan's psychology here because the entire arena is watching him. He's enjoying it, he's getting the crowd behind him, and this could actually be good for his sort of sports psychology going into the later on in the season. All on his own on the stage and out there to enjoy himself.
Gets that penultimate crimp. Could we have a perfect ending to the semi-final? There's a top hole beckoning. Nathan Phillips just trying to figure out what to do with the feet. Bumps that right foot up. He's got to launch at some stage. He gets his left hand onto the top hole, but he can't get both. And as I say, sadly our clock has disappeared, but I'm pretty sure there isn't time for another attempt. There isn't. He waves to the crowd. He has given this semi-final everything. Sadly, not enough.
That was a really good moment to end the competition here. It didn't count for anything ultimately, but it was a really good way to finish an excellent round of climbing.
So we'll just wait for our confirmed results to come through, barring any appeals or odd judging decisions. We should know our finalists already. There's Australia's Ben Abel walking past the camera. He'll have enjoyed watching that. Well, he probably enjoyed the semi-final or the last 5 minutes of it once Oceana was safely through.
Yeah, I think Oceana Mackenzie's the big story here in the semi-final round.
And there we can see it. Yanya Garmbret goes through on the same score as Akira Noguchi. They'll be joined in the final by Fanny Gibert, who looked in excellent form. The local hero Petra Klingler, 2-time Meiringen winner Shauna Coxey, and then the bolter Oceana Mackenzie. What a final that promises to be. So many storylines. We'll discuss them all at 7 p.m. when we go live. Alex Johnson and Kyra Conley slightly unlucky to miss out. And Futaba Ito down there in 9th. She's got a big future ahead of her. Didn't quite make it through today. Low down the order, so many strong climbers. Sandra Letner, Katja Kadic make it into the top 12 but not into the top 6. Julia Shanordi, after such a good qualifying yesterday, couldn't quite convert that. And Solsar, Julia Pinguera and Emily Phillips rounding out the rest of the 20. We'll get the men's results for you in just a second. There we see some chap called Adamondra, obviously quite handy. He's gone through 4 tops for him. 4 Japanese men through to the final. They are Tomoe Naosaki, Rei Sugimoto, Kokoro Fuji and Tomoaki Takata, and they'll be joined by Jongwon Chon. Alexei Rubsov, who's always been on the podium here in Meiringen and narrowly misses out, and then 3 more of the Japanese climbers rounding out the top 10.
Superb round of climbing all the way through. Let's have a look at the bottom half of the list. Yone Kruder, winner from last year, narrowly misses out on that top 10. He'll be bitterly disappointed. That so will Alex Cazenove, winner from the Studio Blockmaster, Anze Perhach. Could not, unfortunately, repeat that and make it through to the final here in Meiringen. Alexander Magos, Nathaniel Coleman, Stefano Gatovi, Gregor Vazonik and Nathan Phillips rounding out that list.
Yeah, fantastic semi-final. Route setters did a good job. We had pretty old school, powerful boulders, very entertaining. It feels like they got the level pretty much right. Mike, what a final we've got coming up tonight.
I mean, start of the season. We said it's a massive season, but it's so exciting. I cannot wait for 7 o'clock tonight.
Yes, we will be live 7 o'clock Meiringen time, 7 o'clock Central European time for what promises to be a truly spectacular first final of 2019. Thank you for watching.